We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy pre-show. No, we're not starting recording right at 1600 Eastern Daylight Time. We never do. This is just still the pre-show. Oh, look at that. Looks like Nick, Captain Nick, is about to join us. He's being very coy. He's such a cute boy. It's a good thing we can't see him on the big screen because he was picking his nose. I see him laughing. I don't hear him, but I can see him laughing. For those of you who are joining us, including you, Miss Liz, my control room girl, if you can let us know levels, if I'm too loud or too soft compared to, as far as volume is concerned, to Nick. Of course, he hasn't really said anything. And then Captain Nick has not joined us yet, so volume is kind of low. Okay. I'll bump up my gain a little bit.
Edit more.
Gain, gain, gain. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Okay, let me do this. Go to my settings. And go to audio and bump this one up as well. There are just so many ways to do this gain staging. Okay. Main man Micah sound guy. Speak of the devil and the devil appears. Yeah. I've done that before, Brett. Been logged into a video and then nothing was on, and then it comes on at a certain time, and I'm going, what the heck is that? Where is that coming from? Kind of startles you if you're not expecting it. Yeah, I'm glad that you could join us as well, Brett, for a little while. Main man Micah wants you to speak a little bit, Nick Camacho.
Speak a little bit, main man Micah. What did I do here?
Did my volume go up at all?
I can also twang my springs if you would like, Jeff.
Oh, yeah, I'd love that. I'd love that. Ah, I love it. It's like a timpani. Probably best if Nick can lower his input. Okay, don't worry about it, Nick. I can probably do it from here. Oops, nope. I need to go over here to your video thumbnail, edit mic settings, and then bring it down. I'm bringing you down, 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 down. Okay, now. Ooh, Nick is about twice the value of your level, Jeff. Well, that goes without saying. I'm an old man, you know. I just don't have those levels anymore.
Now Nick is talking to us via
is he?
Text because he says he has everything sorted out, but it's still not working.
Oh. Well, then you don't have everything sorted out. So I'm getting green output bars and everything, including StreamYard. Well, add yourself to the video. Why don't you add yourself to the stream, and then maybe we'll be able to hear you.
Ah. It's been a while since I did this, you know.
I know. You get a little out of practice.
Absolutely. I'm going, why is it not working?
So now you're really loud too. So maybe I'm the one that just needs to come up and volume.
Oh, yeah, you're real quiet to me, Jeff.
Okay.
Nick sounds fine. I sound a bit loud to myself, but then that's my earphones, I guess.
Yeah, let's see here. Settings.
Right, I need to sort out a background.
And I'm going to bump that up a little bit. Okay. See, I don't hear any difference in my sound, my monitoring volume, but I just bumped up the volume for. They said that both of the Nicks are incredibly loud.
We always have been.
Ah,
Actually, it's not true. The young Nick is always nicely, softly spoken, I always thought.
when you were younger, or the young Nick now?
No, the young Nick Camacho.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I hate to do this, but I'm going to click the little button here that says automatically adjust mic volume and see what happens.
I unclicked that, and I also unclicked echo cancellation, which seemed to be there. I don't know why that was there.
I think it's because when there was a time that we needed to click that for the recording situation. Camo in the right hand of the corner of the screen is
there we go.
the software that I'm using, the app that I'm using for my camera. I'm using my iPhone as my camera. So let me turn that off. I can do that because I'm a lifetime member of this because I like it so much. Overlay none. And then let me do this. Oh, hey, I have a new pet.
You have a new pet?
Yeah, see?
Oh my God, that's very good.
Aw.
I love it.
Aw,
That's
that's Fred.
Yeah, that's
Fred's on my
excellent.
head. Hey, Fred. Hey.
Yeah, if you got a beaver that'll do that.
I really could say something there, but I won't.
Davy Crockett had a beaver on his head, didn't he?
Yeah, a dead one. Ooh.
Oh, very good. You found a new toy. What toy is this?
It's camo.
Camo.
Camera. That's the way I'm using this for my phone. For my
Cool,
camera.
cool. You're still very quiet to me as well.
Dang it. Well, I'll bump it all the way up. I have the gain at 75. And what else could I do? I have volume 200.
Are you sure you got the right mic selected? I don't mean to. Yeah, that's it. Well, that's a very, very muted little tap you've got there.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's a personal thing. Yeah, I got StreamYard 100%. I don't know, guys. Okay, let me go back over here and do my settings again. And go to audio. And this time I'm going to just put the whole thing up to 200. Has that changed anything?
Yeah, it has improved things a little from my point of view.
Okay, so I have my gain all the way up, and I have StreamYard audio 200%.
Stick
I don't know what else
the
to do.
microphone down your throat. See if that helps.
I'm literally 5 inches away.
Okay.
I'm literally 5.
Oh, hey,
no.
suddenly. Yeah,
That sounds good.
That improved things markedly.
Okay, I'll just like
Eat the mic.
Swallow
I'm eating it. I can my mustache is rubbing against the microphone.
Well, we can't
But
tell that your cat
I was going to say
face
it
is-
looks fine with the cat face. Yeah,
Yes.
Let me go back.
Good job.
Good
Got
job,
it.
Virgin.
Yep. Got it sticky. Hot and sticky, said the actress to the bishop.
Okay. I mean, I can do this. I can put what? Making no difference whatsoever, only slightly. How about now?
You sound okay to me now.
Okay.
Nick, how do you sound?
I don't know how I sound. 'cause
Yeah, Nick's still louder than you.
I can
Yeah.
I can
Can you
reduce.
turn your
my
gain down a
volume.
little bit?
Yeah, sure. Let me do that in A10 Mini, the master. How now, brown cow? Does that
Sounds
make
good.
a difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we need a new message from the chat room. Have the latest adjustments made any?
Yep.
Wow.
Iteration. Sorry about that.
That wasn't me.
It was a sticky coaster that decided to. See, I'm using my 43.
Well, a sticky
Squadron
coaster is
coasters.
better than a stinky coaster.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
That's all I'm saying. Captain Nick is still too loud. Gosh.
Bugger off. Oh, sorry. I'm not. I can move the mic away a bit. How's that? Is that better? I could just speak more normally. Although when I get excited, my volume's going to go up.
So how are we going to do? Are you going to do your own overlays?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And now, let's see. Let's hear Nick Camacho one more time, please, according to main man Micah.
Assuming they're still there, that is.
Nick.
Yep. Sorry. Hello. I'm just finishing putting my overlays in.
Your ovaries?
Yeah. Let's try that one. Nope, wrong one. Delete overlay.
I have no idea
And
why.
overlay. There we go. All right, I've got one that doesn't fit, Jeff, but the rest of them fit.
All right. No problem. No problemo. Okay, let's blow everybody's ears out by playing some sound.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
That's
That too
good to me.
loud? Okay, and
1,000.
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
500.
and that is not the original, but that was a karaoke version. That's the way I'm getting around the YouTube thing.
It doesn't get flagged?
No,
Really?
really. I learned that a few years ago. But one of these days, when these karaoke people decide to start joining the copyright parade, then I'll be history. Okay. So, how are we doing in the live audience here? Hello, ONF. Everything will be fine. Nick Camacho could be a little further away from the mic. Yeah, we can see him too well. You're right. Oh, you're talking about the audio. Okay, try it now.
Is that better?
That might be.
It might be better. Might be better for everybody.
Well, I did notice when we first went on before we started the broadcast, but when we first went on the StreamYard, I could hear I could hear the next door neighbors from Nick's mic, so it was very loud. I agree.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I was just trying to move it a little bit.
somebody's bumped the trash cans. Okay. And as far as my my volume's concerned, I don't know what's going on here. I got everything turned up. I don't think I've changed any of my audio. I know that I haven't changed any of my audio settings. Yeah, you're right though. Even on my local, on my interface, I'm not getting, and I got the thing turned all the way up and it's just not, I don't know. Should I maybe try a different cable? Try this cable. We'll be starting soon. Promise.
Steph might make it in before we get going.
I know.
She said pretty close to 4:30.
Okay.
Okay, that's not too far from now. Oh, hey, look at those guys.
Pilots.
How now? Any difference? I would doubt that there be any difference because it's just a XLR
seem like
cable.
it.
Yeah. Okay. So Rick said that he's going. Wow. Why? That's just so weird. Hang on. Let me check my input. Off. Input limiter. Oh, it's on. Hello. Test. Check. No? Phase invert. I don't think I want to do that. Phantom
Of the opera.
power is off, as it should be. Plug-in power's off. Input delay. Why would I want to do that? Trim link. No. PFL mode. Don't want to make that solo because then you'd only be able to hear me. Auto mix. I wonder if I have auto mix on. Nope. I don't know, folks. Don't know. Don't know. Hello. Hello. I just have to talk louder. Ooh, look at that pretty airplane. That hawk. Hey, there's a video. Hopefully we'll get to it on today's show in the feedback of the Mach loop, and one of the jets in the Mach loop is the Hawk.
Ah, right. There you
And
go.
the Tornado or Tornado.
The Hawk's not a very big airplane. It doesn't look very impressive. The Hawks always look very impressive going down.
Yeah,
the loop.
they're in that as well, and they do look
and
impressive.
they're pretty low, those boys.
Mhm.
So some of the F-16s are like above the cameraman.
Yeah, what was
what
up
are you
with
doing
that?
up there?
The 130s were like the guys were on the edge of the cliff looking down, pointing down.
Exactly.
And the
Yeah.
F-16, they're all like pointing up. Thinking, what's wrong with those F-16 boys?
I've always wondered that myself.
Boys and girls, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Let's see. I uploaded a video of a friend's first dance at her wedding in my private section of YouTube, marked private and all the rest. No, it doesn't matter. You can be private. You can be unlisted. It doesn't matter. It all goes through the same, whatever you call it. What is it called again? Starts with an A. Algorithms. I know, Liz. Sorry to disappoint you. She was so optimistic that we were going to start at 4 o'clock. But, we never do. Okay. So I tried out the sound and all that, and I guess we can go ahead and maybe start the show if you guys are ready. I don't know. You still doing stuff over there, Captain Nick?
I'm about as done as I'm going to be, I think.
Okay. Very good. Well, without further ado, let's see. I'm going to look at the time, which is something that Liz normally does. You know what? I have a feeling if she stays with us
start my
for
recorder.
the whole time. Oh, I do too. Thank you.
Good catch, Liz.
Start recorder. I am recording.
As am I.
Hello, hello. Yeah, even the waveforms going into Reaper are kind of
Different.
I don't know what's going on. This is weird. Maybe it's just the this thing, the Zoom F4, is getting bumped around too much in my bag. I take it everywhere I go, pretty much. Maybe it's just time for a new... No, I don't want to get a new interface. I don't want to. Reaper. I'm going to bump that up a little bit. Okay. Everybody ready?
Yep.
I am.
Oh, God, even that's really super low. Dang it. Bump that all the way up. Maybe it's this... never mind. Just forget about it. All right, here we go. We're starting at 20 after.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 532.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. With your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at former APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 11th of August, 2022.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, audio of a 911 call after a pilot jumps out of a cargo plane. Two Alaska airline pilots supposedly couldn't get along, delaying their flight. More news, your feedback, and today's plain tale, Batman and Robin. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and lock positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 532 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter at the world's #1 all-news station in the nation. Oh, that doesn't work. 1010 wins in
New York City!
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast, and we cover the latest in aviation news, and we also cover your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based in Atlanta, Georgia, and joining me today from... Hang on. And joining me today from across the pond.
1,000.
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
Professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Oh, hi there, Jeff. It's great to be back after a short swan song away from the show, except I'm a bit hot and sticky.
Oh, well, that's no good. Glad to have you back. We've missed you. And also joining us today, hey, yeah, from his studio in the air capital, low and slow pilot, old airplane enthusiast, and engineer in the aerospace and defense industry, it's Nick Camacho, Macho Man.
Hey, I'm glad to be back. It's been a while since we had I've been on a normal show. So
Yeah, well,
good. Maybe a little rusty.
yeah, normal show. I don't know what the definition of normal is, but yeah, for us, yeah. Anyway, we'll get caught up later with what everybody has been up to, and I think for most of us, it's been a lot. And we're going to go ahead and start off, though, covering some news. And Dr. Steph should be, and as well as Miami Rick, should be joining us while the show is in progress. Without further ado, here comes the news.
Stand by for news.
All right. Well, one of the big things that has happened in the last couple of weeks is, of course, our, Nick Camacho and my visit to the Experimental Aircraft Association's AirVenture 2022 at Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And we had a great time, and it was a record-setting year at AirVenture. And the picture that you're watching or seeing now is a picture of the, what do they call that, outdoor
the fly-in theater.
Fly-in theater. And it's amazing. Look at that crowd there. I think they said it was a record-breaking crowd, over 7,000 people in attendance to watch Top Gun Maverick.
Gun 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that must have been great. Lots of cheering, I hope.
I don't know. Yeah, Liz asks if that's the crowd at my recording. Yes, that's one. That's we had to take it outside, Liz. We didn't have enough room in the media center. Yeah, no, that was not our crowd. It was a little bit smaller. Thank you very much, Liz. Let's see. This year's attendance was approximately 650,000 people, which was 7% more than 2021's attendance, and exceeded the previous record of 642,000, which was set in 2019. Yeah, that was the last time that we were there, right, Nick? Remember that?
Yeah, it was. Absolutely.
Let's see. There were several factors involved in the record attendance this year, in addition to the great weather. Well, it was all great except for one night. Programs such as the 75th anniversary of the U.S. Air Force contributed to exciting aerial displays all week, and it was a joy to welcome our international visitors back in full force for the first time since 2019. Oh, I should say, I guess he's talking about the actual time frame of AirVenture that started on Monday. It's the weather that I was speaking of, which we'll talk about later in the Getting to Know Us segment, was on a Saturday night, so a couple of days before the air show started. Total aircraft, more than 10,000 aircraft arrived at Whitman Regional Airport and other airports in east central Wisconsin. At Whitman alone, there were 18,684 aircraft operations in the 11-day period from July 21st through the 31st, which is an average of approximately 121 takeoffs and landings per hour when the airport is open. And that actually beats Atlanta International on a good day.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Total airplanes, 3,226, including 1,375 registered and vintage aircraft parking, plus 1,156 home-built aircraft. That's up 6% over 2021. 369 warbirds, up 5%. 137 ultralights, 87 seaplanes, 77 aerobatic aircraft, and 25 rotorcraft. Camping, hey, that was me, or I was one of them. More than 12,000 sites in aircraft and drive-in counting accounted for an estimated 40,000 visitors. More than 1,400 forums, workshops, presentations hosted throughout the week. Social media, internet, and mobile, more than 10.6 million people were reached by EAA social media channels during AirVenture, with engagement of 1.1 million. More than 83,000 hours of viewing EAA video clips and old APG episodes online also occurred during the event. Did you catch that little thing I just threw in there?
Yeah, I did. I giggled, but I was on mute.
Okay. And let's see. Oh, media. 797 media representatives on site from 6 continents, including 2 so-called media people from the Airline Pilot Guy show. That would be
Exactly.
Nick Camacho.
We just have a name for them. It's called cheapskates.
Shut up. All right. So there you go. I just wanted to kind of start off with that. A nice positive piece of news for the EAA AirVenture, and we had a great time. We're going to, as I said, we'll talk about that in more detail in the Getting to Know Us segment. Let's move on with this, and this is a very strange one indeed, and we're going to play a little video clip that is going to set this up for us, and this courtesy of the local Channel 11 affiliate in Charlotte. I mean, Raleigh-Durham, I believe.
Hey, do you want to wait and do this one until Steph
Oh, I do
shows
want to
up?
wait until we get... Yeah, you're right. Let's do that. Okay. Let's jump to C. All right, we're going to start off... well, not start off. We're going to continue with this item. Alaska Airlines flight delayed because pilots couldn't get along. So, yeah.
Not the first time.
Well, while flight delays have become rather standard in this area, it's not every day that a flight's delayed for this reason. This incident happened on Monday, July 18, 2022, and it involves Alaska Airlines Flight 1080 from Washington Dulles to San Francisco International, which was operated by an Airbus A320. The flight had allegedly already been delayed by 90 minutes due to bad weather in the area, but then things got worse. According to reports from passengers, the plane returned to the gate after pushing back, as the two pilots allegedly couldn't get along. Oh, couldn't get along. This is corroborated by multiple people who were on the flight who all share a similar story on Twitter. One of the pilots was even quite transparent with passengers about the issue, stating that this was, quote, due to a failure to get along, and that he was leaving the plane in the interest of safety. One passenger recorded the end of the pilot's apology before leaving the plane. I tried to find that, and it was already removed from Twitter, so sorry about that. Another passenger recorded a video of the pilot leaving the gate area, and I do have that. Let's take a look at that. There is the pilot. Oh, is that Armando? No, I don't think so. No, he doesn't have a beard. Walking away, and I don't know. I couldn't tell how many stripes this pilot had. I don't know if that's the captain or the first officer. I'm guessing first officer, but I could be wrong. Could be the captain, right? Can't tell. Too far away.
No.
Anyway, let's see. Rather impressively, Alaska Airlines quickly found a replacement pilot, as a crew member who was scheduled to work a flight to Los Angeles was rostered onto this flight last minute. The flight was scheduled to land in San Francisco at 7:05, but ended up landing at 9:31 p.m., less than 2.5 hours behind schedule. Arguably, the passengers on the Los Angeles flight had it worse, as it took quite some time for them to find a replacement pilot. That flight was supposed to land at 8:05 p.m., but ended up landing at 10:38, so that was a delay of over 2.5 hours. Let's see. Some of the commentary from passengers on the flight seemed to be a bit dramatic. Quote, very scary that your pilots could be this careless and flippant. Another quote, I've never been more traumatized by a flight experience in all my years of flying domestic and international. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that, and I'm sure that you'll probably share the same viewpoint, that if you're in a situation, two pilot crew, and you're fighting or you're not getting along or whatever, it is it's a very unsafe environment. And I almost give them kudos for like bringing it back to the gate and saying this is not going to work and it's not worth the risk of, flight safety. Now, I may have used different terminology when explaining why, we had to return to the gate and wait for another crew member. I don't know if it was really important to share the reason as far as, not getting along, fighting, whatever. What do you think, Captain Nick?
I'm a great believer in telling the truth, but there are times when you don't need to give all the details, and I think this is one of them, because a lot of aviation relies on passengers' trust in their crew, and this would do nothing but erode that trust, because you've still got one of the crew members on board. You don't know who was the problem person. It might cause them a certain level of nervousness, and it certainly doesn't do the airline's image any good. So I'm with you. I would have just said we have an issue with the crew. We're going to have to wait for another pilot. You don't need to give any more explanation than that, and away you go. So it's a bit like airing your dirty linen in public. We don't want to do that either. So
right.
I don't think the passengers would be any better informed if you had just kept it simple and not included the exact reason.
I agree. What do you think, Camacho Man?
The thing that I would be wondering about is what they were actually fighting over. It seems to me like there's enough. There would be enough definition in how you guys operate and how everything is done that it would be pretty easy to sort most arguments out. And even if, obviously the chain of command is important, but there's also crew resource management that people want to weigh. But, it seems like unless they're arguing about personal issues, I would just be curious to know like what they were arguing and couldn't due to a failure to get along, what they weren't getting along about, whether it was a specific aspect of how they were operating the airplane or what.
Yeah. Again, it would have been nice for us to know, but I'm not sure that would be something that they should share with with the passengers. Yeah, I don't think that you're saying that. I remember the only time that I've been in a situation where things kind of got uncomfortable, and it wasn't really directly involving me. I was the flight engineer on the 727, and we were leaving Dallas-Fort Worth, heading to Atlanta, and the first officer had gotten this was back in the days before CPDLC and what is it? Why can't I think of the other thing that we use for our clearances? PDCs, pre-departure clearances through the ACAR system. So you had to call them up, and there are still places that we have to do that. For instance, like Madison, Wisconsin, and Jackson, Mississippi, and Little Rock, etc., where you have to call up the controller and get a verbal over the radio clearance for your flight. And apparently the first officer did this without the captain being there to hear it, and that's against our standard operating procedures. But I didn't know that any of this had happened. I was probably out doing a walk around, and I came back and everything seemed normal. And then we were doing our departure out of Dallas-Fort Worth, and the air traffic controllers asked, "Where are you going, Acme?" And the guy said, "Well, we're going here." And he said, "Well, you were not cleared that departure. You were cleared the other some other departure." And I'm looking around going like, "What is going on? What's happening here?" And so the first officer knew that the departure was a different departure than we had filed. However, he forgot or neglected to tell the captain. And then I thought, this is strange. And then I noticed this bad vibe going on. Come to find out, after all of this, that these two had flown together, I guess, on the DC-9, and they had some kind of a falling out, some kind of fight in the past. So they had history, and they were already not happy to be flying with each other on this crew. And I had no idea until that happened. And I'm thinking, uh-oh. Are we going to be violated now? Am I in trouble? But kind of weird. Hello, Steph.
Hi. How are you guys?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Very good. We're doing well, and we're glad that you have joined us. I know that you're going to have a kind of a hard out at a certain point.
I have a work call at 5:30, so in just under an hour, and I will be there for however long that takes.
Okay.
Some of the people on the call are optimistic that it's going to be 30 minutes. I'm not sure that I share their optimism on that based on some other comments I heard floating around today. So, yeah, well, it could be 30 minutes if it, would just stick to the agenda, but I think people are going to insert their own agenda items. Yeah, but once I'm there, unfortunately, I won't be able to leave it until it ends. So I shall endeavor to return if I can.
We'll cross our fingers and hope that it's on the shorter side and not the longer side.
Yes.
Steph, I'm going to buy you a cardboard cutout so that you can just put that in front of the camera next time.
I'm not even going to have the camera on. It's a Zoom meeting, but I mean,
just have like a little recording. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's some meetings where I could be minimally involved and probably just have it on in the background. Unfortunately, this is not one of them. So it's good. It's all good stuff, but I need to be there for a lot of reasons. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, we kind of skipped our second news item because we wanted you to be here to kind of have some of your input regarding this very kind of a strange incident. But I guess we can wrap up this Alaska Airlines delay and feud and one of the crew members leaving and having to get a new crew member to take over. I think there's really not much else to be said about that, right, guys? Okay. Let's jump back to item B, and this, as I said, is from a local affiliate in
Raleigh,
Charlotte or Raleigh. I'm sorry, I think I said Charlotte before. Raleigh, and so we have some audio and some video that goes along with it, but you'll catch the drift if you're just listening to the audio. So here we go again.
To Raleigh and make make you landing at Raleigh.
Let me start that over. That I think I'd already just started it, so let me go from right here. Local 11 ABC in Raleigh.
RDU.
Emergency. We've lost our right wheel. We'd like to proceed to Raleigh and make you landing at Raleigh.
A plane with 2 people on board.
02, say home base of aircraft. Persons on board.
Having to make an emergency landing in Raleigh after trying to land near Rayford. Their call with air traffic control.
I got it. Hey, Fayetteville, we were attempting to land. We made contact with the ground, had a hard landing, and decided to go around. And at that point, we lost the wheel.
The plane arriving at Raleigh-Durham International Airport.
How do you intend to land at Raleigh-Durham?
We get as slow as we can, and I guess we're going to put it on the belly.
Authorities finding only 1 pilot on board. The body of 23-year-old Charles Hugh Crooks found 20 miles away from the airport in a Fuquay-Varina neighborhood. The sound heard by several residents, happening in one eyewitness's backyard.
I thought, honestly, it was somebody who was slamming a trash can lid or something because it was pretty loud.
Questions on how Crooks exited remain as authorities investigate.
Maybe fell or jumped, I don't know. But I was feeling remorseful for his family.
I guess I don't know if we'll ever really know, but it's just crazy. If he jumped a second earlier, he could have been right here on my kid's play set. I mean, just a million things. And the sadness about it, right, of it being a 23-year-old guy who probably woke up that day, had breakfast, and was ready to go fly a plane.
And so Crooks's body was found without any parachute or landing gear nearby, and the pilot who survived has been released from the hospital, and the plane that was on the runway has been moved. The airport at RDU running under normal operations. Reporting in Fuquay-Varina, Cindy Bay, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
Okay, the aircraft in this case operated by, I forgot already. Do you recall?
It's
Steph?
Rampart Aviation.
Rampart
it's under a
Aviation.
different name, though. With a different
like
policy.
Spore or something like
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I guess they do contract work for the U.S. Army. Do a lot of missions.
Yeah, it's a lot of military operations, parachute operations.
Okay, and they were at a like Rayford West, which was I think southwest of the Raleigh-Durham airport area.
It's to the southeast, actually, I think.
Southeast, okay.
If I'm thinking correctly on my map of the state of North Carolina, but yes.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter.
Just
they were
south
out
of
there.
Raleigh.
They were doing some operations, and apparently on one of the landings, it was a very firm landing, firm enough and hard enough that the right main landing gear actually separated from the aircraft, and that's why they decided to come back or head up to Raleigh-Durham International, where they have longer runways and more
emergency
support.
Services.
Yeah, emergency services. Here, I need to get rid of this. Remove that. Okay, and so at first, the initial reporting of this said that there was no indication of why this happened, and none of what I'm going to play right now was in any of the news reports. I think that it was purposely withheld. And but let's just take a listen to this. This is the pilot in command of the aircraft, which is a CASA. What is that? A cargo airplane. Forgot the number on it.
212.
212-200. And listen to this. This is the pilot talking with Raleigh approach.
Raleigh approach 8002.
8002, Raleigh.
My co-pilot just ran out the back of the plane.
He just did what now?
He just ran out the back of the plane.
So you don't have a co-pilot on, you said?
No, he just jumped out the back of the plane.
Right.
Would you like me to circle where he left at?
Say that again?
Would you like me to circle where he got out at, or you got me on track?
We still have you on track. Did you need something else?
No, the dude literally jumped out the back of the plane without a parachute.
Silent. Did you need to do something else, circle or something? Or?
No, I need to land. I'm just making you aware you're going to
have a dead body out where I just called you at. He just jumped out the back of the plane. You roger. To continue on you heading 050. 05002.
Okay, initially there was speculation that that could have been the case, where he may have purposely left the aircraft, and then there was also speculation that perhaps he was trying to view the condition of the right main landing gear on the ramp that is lowered straight out the back, and he fell out. But I don't know about you, but this particular recording, listening to the captain talking to air traffic control, makes it sound to me that he purposely left the airplane. So I don't know. What do you all think?
I agree with your assessment there. That's what it sounds like from the audio. I don't think there's any reason right now to think otherwise on that, but I don't know. I don't think anyone knows the actual why still.
Right.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Captain sounds remarkably calm, considering, he's just witnessed his first officer kill himself. So, I'm just amazed at how, the guy's already got an emergency. He'd be a little bit hyped up, and now the other pilot has apparently, for no reason that we know of, has jumped. It's such an incredibly odd thing to have happened. I'm absolutely flabbergasted, quite honestly. It's one of those things I don't think we're ever really going to get fully to the bottom of this, because the only person that knows what was in the chap's mind is the chap himself, and sadly he's dead now.
Yeah. I had read there is some kind of a lawsuit that an HR related, Steph would probably be up to speed on that, related lawsuit regarding the culture and working conditions at this particular company. And I guess they're kind of very, I don't know the word to use, but it's a rough place to work. Very not very forgiving if you make mistakes. There apparently a lot of swearing, a lot of old former military people working there, and they purposely make the environment not a friendly, warm, if you're a snowflake, in other words, it's not a good place to work. Now, I'm not saying that has anything to do with this situation here, but it was just interesting that in some of the news sources I was looking at regarding this particular company mentioned that. And I'm wondering, could it be that this guy is thinking to himself, shoot, I've just ruined my career, and I may have messed up by landing so hard and breaking this airplane, and just the environment there was so severe that he thought the best way to fix this situation is just to end my life.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard or read any of that stuff, but I've only read some of just the raw data stuff for this whole incident on purpose, trying not to bring in a whole lot of news media interpretation as best I can.
Right.
So I hadn't seen that part of it, and I don't know anything about the culture at that particular company, but it's funny you mentioned that though, because that was actually it's not too far from where we are here that this happened. So there's been a lot of talk and just discussion about it. And that's definitely been mentioned as gosh, you think he was so upset about, just what happened with the aircraft itself that he thought it would so detrimentally impact his chances going forward with his career that he couldn't live with that. That's horrible if that's the case. But like Nick said, I don't think we'll ever know there's no way we're ever going to know what was going through his head. It's just not possible.
No.
Do we know who was handling the aircraft when they had the first incident?
We don't. I don't think.
No, but I think it's been kind of implied that the young person who jumped out, fell out, was the one that had made the bad landing.
Okay. I haven't seen anything to confirm or support that, but
right.
Nothing definitive.
Yeah. it's just a sad situation. And as you, many of you said, it's going to be difficult to know exactly what was going through his head at the time for him to think that this was the best way to handle the situation. Yeah. All right. Anything else to say about that? I'll just hope we'll find more information regarding this. Okay, let's move on to item D. This is an interesting one. An airplane tug driver, this is, by the way, from, well, several different sources, dailymail.co.uk, among others. We're going to play a little video clip here from another source. An airplane tug driver has miraculously escaped what seemed like certain death on the LaGuardia Airport tarmac in Queens. An American Airlines plane that he was towing went haywire and drove over his vehicle in a dramatic crash caught on video. Footage shows the driver of what's referred to as a super tug. In this case, I don't think it was a super tug. I think it was just a regular tug. Pulling the Boeing 737 from the hangar to the gate early Tuesday morning. The vehicle was crushed underneath a jumbo jet at LaGuardia Airport. I guess now the 737 is considered a jumbo jet, according to certain news outlets. It was not a jumbo jet. So let me play some of the surveillance. Uh-oh. Liz is saying that I'm breaking up and we can't hear me.
Affirmative.
Well, why would that be?
No, now you're fine.
No, I think it's...
Okay. No?
Yeah, I noticed it just seemed to be sounding a bit like you were over-modulating, Jeff, but just crackling. But it's a lot better now.
It seems more like a connection problem, though, because the video is doing the same thing.
Yeah, the video is kind of glitchy, yeah.
Okay.
Did you pay the bills,
extremely,
Jeff?
Yeah, I have extremely high bandwidth here in this place. But I did not hardwire it into the modem. I guess I could probably do that, see if that might help. But it's going to require me to do some configuration changes. Is it any better, or should we just stop?
Keep going a little bit. It's when you stop talking,
hello,
you're saying anything.
Hello.
That's, I mean,
it's no good.
It sounds okay now. There was like a 1 minute period where it was hard to like understand anything.
Okay, I'm gonna do a speed test.
Oh nope, it's still bad.
Oh yeah.
Hang on. Okay, I'm getting 465 down.
So it's not an internet problem.
Come on, Jeff.
No, it's not an internet problem. 300 and I'll forward. I think I know what the issue might be. And
I hope you know what it is, because
I think
that's what she said.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay, let me do something here.
I'm just going to disappear for 2 seconds while you're doing that.
Okay.
Be right back.
Poof.
Thank you. Somebody kind of, I guess we've been stopping, pausing for a couple of minutes, so if somebody can kind of keep track of that so we can kind of get an idea.
Okay.
Happens to be
I'm gonna get all
a
my
new
stuff pulled up
laptop.
for my Zoom meeting. Zoom.
Okay. This is not good. I was afraid this might happen.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the problem is that you knew might occur.
I'm using a brand new MacBook Air M2 chip. The MacBook Air does not have
hard drive.
A fan.
Oh.
That's one of the reasons why I got it. And let me unplug this. And I was hoping that it would be able to handle this sort of thing. But what happens in the case of a non-active cooling. Can you hear me still?
Now it sounds better.
Okay, better, but not good.
Well, it's good right now. I just
okay.
Optimistic
So
that will last.
It doesn't have active cooling, so when the chip starts getting warm, it
So
starts
shut the processes off.
Yeah, the processor starts slowing down. And I'm thinking, well, I'm sure it can handle this without a problem. I was wrong, apparently. You're muted, sir.
Sorry, I'm back. Famous last
Okay.
words was what I said.
Yeah, famous last words.
I would also like to point out, just while we're paused here for technical issues, that it's kind of funny whenever Nick tilts his head to the left, because it looks like he just has a sex badge behind him when he covers up the sus part.
Sex.
The other way.
The other way.
Oh, it's not working now. It was working. It
there
happened
you
once or
go.
twice earlier in the show.
Very good. Ha ha.
He did that on purpose.
Yes.
I hope I'm within my 14 days to return this thing.
What was it? What is it that you've got?
I got a MacBook Air M2. The
Oh,
latest,
right. Okay.
Greatest, the last released piece of hardware. That.
That should just ace the base.
Yeah, but as I said, because it doesn't have a cooling fan, and so it throttles the CPU down and the GPU down when it starts getting warm. So I just I was doing something to kind of add an extra screen to this whole thing, and that may have been, part of a problem as far as a CPU
Does the
load.
Pro have a fan?
Yes, it does.
Oh, there you go. That's the answer then.
Yeah, or
So you're trying not to have fan noise?
Yeah, just trying to avoid fan noise.
I like it
but
when
the
the fans cheer.
The M1 Mini does have a fan, but it's very, very quiet. Never heard it, actually. Okay. So do things seem a little bit more stable?
More stable.
Yep. Okay. Not great based on the tone of Steph's voice.
It's okay right now. I'm just
Yeah.
cautiously optimistic.
You
Okay.
you could get a couple of ice blocks and then put the computer on top.
Again, that's just
Neil
my
said
own
just do the show from the fridge.
That's my own speculation. I could be wrong about what's happening here, but obviously the internet is screaming fast.
Mm.
The mic has gone bad, but I can't say it. No, I mean, well, I wonder. I don't think I dropped my microphone.
No,
or
the mic
anything.
is fine.
Yeah, but there was also video issues. Like your video.
It wasn't just the
lagging,
mic.
out
It
of
was
sync.
something
Okay.
happening within your computer that was the problem.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I agree, Liz. It was just I was just being hopeful that with all this incredible power from this chip that it wouldn't be a problem, but maybe that's exactly what the problem is. Too much power, too much heat. Okay. So I guess that was about 10 minutes worth of
Yeah, probably
Why?
not quite, but yeah,
okay.
about 10 minutes.
All right, now I'm only using one screen here, so I need to see if I can find my Evernote screen. Okay, and I need to find that screen. Okay, so I guess I'll just start off from the beginning of this. Is that when it started messing up? When started talking about the 737?
Yeah, more or less. It was a little bit before that, but that should be fine.
Okay. All right. The next item in our news notebook is from several different sources, dailymail.co.uk, one, and we're going to play a video from another source. 737 crushes tug at LaGuardia Airport. An airplane tug driver has miraculously escaped what seemed like certain death on the LaGuardia Airport tarmac in Queens. An American Airlines plane that he was towing went haywire and drove over his vehicle in a dramatic crash caught on video. And why don't we go ahead and play said video, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that we'll we'll be able to see it. Okay, I don't believe there's any sound to this, so we're watching surveillance video. There's a tug, not a super tug. It has a big, long tow bar, and then the tow bar comes off the nose wheel. The tug driver stops his tug, and the 737 continues its pivot. It's making a very, very sharp turn. And
just me, or does it seem like it's going faster? Is that just the video, how the frame speed is?
I don't think so. I think this is in real time because a lot of the recordings I've seen, or videos I've seen, were actually in slow motion.
Yeah,
and this
doesn't that look rather fast? Or is it just
yes,
me?
Yeah, yes, totally. Exactly right. That's why the thing came off the nose wheel, because he was going extremely fast, making a very sharp 90-degree turn, or maybe even more than 90 degrees, to bring the airplane into the gate. Yeah. It looks like operator error, tug operator error to me.
Have you got any audio, Jeff? I was just wanted to hear if he was going, yeehaw, at the time.
Oh, wait a minute. He may have. Let me see if I can find the audio. Let me turn that up.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, okay.
You're right.
That accounts for it.
Yep. There you go. Answers that question.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I have a picture here that I can show of the tug. And the fuselage of the 737 jumbo jet over the top. Yeah, that news article from which I was reading, the Daily Mail, was saying that this was he was towing a jumbo jet, and I'm thinking, I don't think so. But yeah, so I'm not sure what the extent of the tug driver's injuries were, but apparently he did not get out of this unscathed, but he did not die, which is good.
Yeah, it looks like he.
I think the story said
he was
unharmed.
okay.
Yeah,
unharmed.
Oh, he's unharmed.
He was just stuck.
Okay, well, good for him. And the thing is very well constructed as far as the protective cage around the. Now we have several at Acme, several tugs, and different airlines do as well. That doesn't have a roof structure,
just like a flat top.
Yeah, that could have been a bad situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't necessarily an unusual situation either, because I've had possibly 2 tow bars break, and I was taxiing into Dubai, and I was looking at a 380 that had managed to have a tow bar break and twisted its nose gear around to about 100 degrees of travel, which is well beyond the limits, and it was just sitting there looking very awkward and surrounded by a bunch of engineers scratching their heads. So it's not unusual, but it's the rate at which it happens, and the fact that the brakeman, who's supposed to be in the flight deck with his feet resting on the brakes ready to apply them, was just a bit slow getting the brakes on.
Yeah.
Because that's his number one job there. But certainly, it looks like the original cause was taking that corner too sharply, such that the aircraft started to push the tug into a jackknife, and at that point, the tow bar gave way, and the aircraft continued to swivel around until it trapped him underneath. So, yeah. The guy, trouble is the guy sitting in the cockpit, the brakeman, you have to be really on the ball if you're going to stop it, because he may not be able to see depends which seat he's in, the tug very easily at that point, and he may not realize what's happened. So
especially the speed they're traveling at there. It was probably just like, we made the turn, and what was that?
Yeah, this guy's going a little bit faster than he normally does for some reason. But hey, it looks like we're turning toward the gate. This is working, and all of a sudden, a big thump.
Yeah.
Would that tug driver be in communication with the guy in the cockpit? Like,
he's supposed to be.
Headsets on. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but having said that, the communication cable may have been severed at the same time that the tug.
Good point.
Nose wheel.
Probably very likely.
But the guy in the cockpit could be like, "Hey, we're showing airspeed on these gauges. That doesn't usually happen.
Approaching
are we doing something
V1
wrong
here. You want to slow down?"
Yeah.
Or maybe he nailed the brakes to try to slow everything down, and maybe that's what caused the tow bar to come off. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, there is a mechanic, engineer, whatever you want to call them, a brake up in the normally sitting in the captain's seat of the aircraft when they do these towing operations, and it just, as you said, probably caught him really completely off guard. Didn't really know what was happening until it was way too late.
Yeah.
And those guys that's not just like a guy they chuck up there, right? Those guys are well trained and they know how the airplane works. My dad used to teach maintenance, and they would put the mechanics going to mechanic school in the pilot simulators, and they would start the airplanes and taxi the airplanes and everything. So I would imagine the airline guys would be the same way, very well acquainted with all the systems.
Yeah. Something just tells me that he was going about 3, 4, 5 times the speed that you were supposed to be.
I mean, it's faster than I would taxi the damned airplane.
Not me.
Not Jeff. Jeff is.
Wasn't Southwest, no, was it? No.
Or Jeff.
A Southwest wannabe.
Neil Lamorne had a good comment. He received a Boeing on the head.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. He literally received a Boeing. Hey, possible show title.
And then just the thought that somebody is out there watching Jeff watch some other guy watch this crash on his computer when he played that video made me chuckle a little bit. Because the video that Jeff played was of someone videoing their computer screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I guess the video came from like a surveillance thing, and it's probably the only way they could
quickly
capture
disseminate it.
Yeah. Just like the video.
Like, ooh, this is good. Watch this.
Yeah, I gotta send
Not
this
for
to
sharing.
my friends. That's just like the aircraft carrier with the F-35.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. With the
Yeah. They weren't supposed to be doing
Not
that
for
either.
sharing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue on with this. Item E. A drunk student pilot has been arrested after landing on a highway out of fuel. This is from
Talk about
Airlines.
a good start to your career.
Yeah.
Flying career.
Well, it gets better, Steph.
I know, it really does.
Airlive.net is where this is from. John T. Seizing, 35, of Prairie Village, Kansas, landed a small aircraft on I-70 near Grain Valley in Florida. No, I don't know where that was. Missouri, somewhere in Missouri, around 2:45 in the morning on Friday. Missouri State Highway Patrol said it believes he was headed toward the Wheeler Downtown Airport in Kansas City when he ran out of fuel and had to make an emergency landing on the highway. Seizing was the only passenger on board the aircraft, and he sustained minor injuries. The Kansan radioed in before landing and had a small collision with a guardrail, but no cars were hit. I don't know. That's a miracle, isn't it? Here, let me show the picture. Maybe somebody can pop that in there while I'll do it. I'm so used to having my assistant, director, producer person, Liz, who's just sitting there watching us and laughing with her feet propped up on some nice piece of furniture at the lake cottage. Right, Liz? Am I right? Okay, so there's the picture there of the mostly intact aircraft that landed on the highway and on a guardrail, apparently. Okay, so let me continue with the story. The Missouri State Highway Patrol found the man intoxicated and arrested him on the scene. He was arrested on suspicion of DWI, careless actions, felony possession of a controlled substance, felony unlawful possession of a firearm, possession of less than 10 grams of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia, according to the Kansas City Star.
Is that something that's in the law? You've got to have more than 10 grams of marijuana.
Yeah, otherwise why bother?
Less, then
I think it depends on the
arrested?
state, Nick. But I think that yes, no, I think that is a thing.
In Kansas, you have to have more. You have to have more than 10 grams.
You have to have more.
Okay.
So no, I think probably in Kansas, you're not allowed to have any of those quantities. So they just define the penalty by how much you actually have.
Oh, yeah, probably so.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
The 35-year-old had a student pilot certificate, which was issued in January 2020, but it was not allowed to have passengers. Well, he didn't have any passengers.
He did not have passengers.
Had a lot of drug paraphernalia and drugs and stuff. And
yeah, he probably thought he had a passenger or two. But,
he may
his passenger was supposed to have put more fuel in the aircraft.
That's right. He was probably having an argument with him all during the flight. You should have put some more damn fuel.
His invisible friend?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, what do you think? I mean, we've all done this. Come on.
I think stupid is as stupid does here. Jeez.
Yeah.
And, something about God looks out for fools, and thankfully no one else was injured.
Yeah. Children and fools.
Children and fools, that's right.
Well, I think that's probably the end of his flying career. At least I hope it's the end of his flying career.
I think it will be. Yeah.
I think the more impressive aspect of this is if you look at a map and you look at the fact that this guy's flying like a 100-knot airplane or 110-knot airplane, and he was able to fly it all the way from Kansas to Florida and turn around and come back. And I think he did it in like 24 hours.
Wow.
And he did not get in trouble until he was like 15 minutes away from his destination airport.
You were so close.
That is, you're right. That is the most impressive part of this, I think. Wow. Okay. Anything else to add or take away?
No. I think that one speaks for itself.
Yeah, it does. Just stupid is as stupid does, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. A Chinook crash in Salmon River, Idaho. This is from Alan Wilson in Salmon, Idaho. Hi, Jeff. Love your podcast. You're probably aware of the recent crash of a Chinook chopper that took the lives of 2 pilots. It crashed into the Salmon River, filling the bucket with water. The NTSB is investigating. So they were trying to fill their water bucket of the helicopter with water from the Salmon River. The NTSB is investigating. The chopper was owned by Rotac out of Anchorage, Alaska. Not Rotax, but Rotac. And let me add the picture right there. That's the vehicle, I believe. I don't know if it's that exact one or not. I don't know if they have more than one. And then here, the next picture is an aerial view, probably from one of the satellite imagery services of the Salmon River in the approximate area where the Chinook crashed. And let's see. It was deployed here in firefighting efforts. The pilots were 2 young veterans. Our area is very wildfire prone, and we honor these fallen heroes and condolences to their families. And again, that's from Alan Wilson in Salmon, Idaho. And he was concerned about Nick. He said, "Where's Nick been?" But we would let him know that he was still alive, still with us. It's just the last few weeks have been kind of a little bit different for all of us, I think. Anyway, so that's a shame that the helicopter crash. They didn't really, have any ideas as far as why it crashed. I don't know if it was a mechanical failure or what. So
well, they're pretty damn reliable aircraft. They've got more than one engine.
Mm-hmm.
But firefighting is a hazardous occupation. It's often unknown terrain. There's often poor visibility with the smoke. There are lots of factors. It could be. It's a high threat environment. So I guess the NTSB will be able to tell us eventually. But very sad because they're doing a huge task for the community, trying to keep those forest fires, those wildfires down, protect people's property. So incredibly sad when you get an aircraft going in.
It is. By the way, in the show notes, this article to which Alan pointed us does have some information about a GoFundMe campaign to help out the families of these young veterans that perished in this accident. So if you want to contribute, all that information will be in the show notes for you. Okay, and let's continue to move on here. G. No, you know what? I'm going to skip G. I'm going to move on to H.
G will just pop up in another month or two, and then we can talk about it at that time.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It'll come back for sure.
It'll come back. It's an evergreen.
Mm-hmm. It's like circular runways. It's like circular runways.
Yeah, exactly. But we have proof, though,
you keep
Steph,
coming
that,
around.
that it's possible
well,
that
in the literal and other sense. Yes.
Oh yeah, it's a circular argument, I guess.
Yes. Too.
Let's see. Well, let's see. This is from a couple of different sources. SpectrumNews1.com, one of them, and then we're going to play some video from another news source. Let's talk about this first, though. A single-engine airplane experienced engine trouble, crash-landed on the Riverside Freeway, the 91, in Corona, California, on Tuesday, triggering a fire from which the plane's occupants narrowly escaped unharmed. The forced landing involved the 6-seat Piper Cherokee PA 32-300, and it occurred at 12:30 p.m. on the eastbound 91 at Lincoln Avenue, according to the Federal Aviation Administration and the California Highway Patrol. The Cherokee was flying to Corona Municipal Airport when the pilot reported an engine issue, was unable to make the turn north toward the airfield, possibly due to a rapid loss of altitude, and opted to make an emergency landing straight ahead on the freeway. The Cherokee made contact with a Toyota Tundra pickup truck, causing unspecified minor damage, but did not injure the driver. Images captured on motorist dash cams, as well as Caltrans freeway cameras, showed the plane coming down hard and clipping a retaining wall, igniting a fire on board. Okay, I'm going to play this pretty impressive video. And again, it's a dash cam video, except for the dash. In this case, the camera was pointed aft, rear of the car. But it's a perfect angle to view this coming in for landing on the 91.
Reopened LA County. Oh, plane crashed. Right behind us.
Yeah, so they probably just looked up in one of his screens.
Like his rear view mirror or something.
Oh, there's a plane crashing back there. Yeah, let's look at it again. Coming in. Okay, nice flare. Boom. Oh, a little hard. One of the wings came off.
Oh, plane crashed.
Right wing.
Right
and
behind
into the wall.
That's the way he says, oh, plane
plane crash. Right behind us.
He's in the middle of talking about something else and like, nope, abrupt shift there.
Something about Atlanta or LA Airport, something I don't know what they were talking about. Anyway, let's see. I have a picture of the aftermath of the crash, and the local Corona firefighters over there doing their job and putting out the fire. And as the article says and states, it was a miracle that both the pilot and the passenger were able to get out of that airplane before it caught on fire, and they didn't have any injuries, not a scratch.
And well done to the drivers on the freeway as well.
That too.
Yeah, they just kept on moving. Like okay.
Well, the ones in front, but I'm thinking about the ones. I mean, that was a busy highway right there. The ones behind, paying attention and like, oh, yep, nope, probably shouldn't continue going forward.
But at Southern California, they're used to I mean, like every few days they have one of these, it seems, an airplane landing on the highway out there. Crazy, huh?
Yeah. But
no,
so nice right. No one was injured. That's great.
Yep.
Very dramatic, though.
Very dramatic. Yep. All right. And that's going to do it for our news segment. I think that's good timing for that segment, and because I know that our Getting to Know Us segment, because we haven't been together for so long, is going to be on the long side. We'll get Steph to tell us quickly before she has to leave in a few minutes. What have you... Oh, wait, hang on. I got to do this first, of course. I got to play our sound effect for Getting to Know Us right here. Yes, it's that time of the show where we get to know what has been happening with each of us since the last episode or two. And as I mentioned, Steph, how have you been? Have you been busy?
Been quite busy, actually. So I'm not even sure. I know I joined in, last I recall. Did I do a show between then and when I was moving my grandfather in and helping set up some stuff in his room? And I joined in
you just
briefly.
hopped on the Oshkosh for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. You guys were in Oshkosh, and I hopped on for a few moments just to say hi, and then I continued watching from the chat room while I was working on getting everything set up. So yeah, to make what could be a very long story rather short, we've got him moved up here, and as you can imagine, it being quite a bit older, moving to an unfamiliar environment, and not being as physically fit as you once were. It's a little bit stressful in a lot of different ways. So, been trying to work through some of those challenges, and having to do a lot of that, a fair amount solo, because unfortunately my dad was also unwell during that time with the dreaded COVID, but he's doing fine now, but certainly was not able to go into a assisted living facility they had a 10-day rule on that. So I think today was the first day he was allowed back there. But it was just a lot of providing reassurances and being there and making sure that he's comfortable and had things he needs, and making sure things get set up in his room, and meeting all the different staff and going through all of that. So it's been taking up quite a bit of my time, but honestly, I'm happy to do that, because I realized quite fortunate to, have my grandfather still around and be able to spend some time with him, even if it is a bit stressful at times. So, that's the bulk of what I've been doing after work,
which is
during the week. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's good, and I'm grateful for that time, and I'll continue to do some of that, but I'm also grateful that my dad is feeling better and able to help out again. I don't know. There were probably 2 weekends in between there. Did some flying.
I took the week off, or we took the week off last week. So we did
some flying, and then I actually, I had a kind of free Saturday, because there was some additional pilot training occurring. Not me, but some other folks coming in who might be able to help us out with our with skydiving flying on the weekends. And so I actually did some jumps last weekend instead of flying. So that was nice.
Oh, great.
Got to join in on one guy. It was his 100th jump, so we organized quite a bit of... it's always exciting when you have a kind of a milestone jump, something that ends in a couple of zeros or more. So I wanted to do something fun for him, and that turned out really well. And Liz was kind enough to remind me that crossed the 1,000-hour mark of flying as well this past weekend.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
1,000 hours. Good job.
Milestone for sure.
Yeah. So it's been, it's still been kind of challenging weather-wise. We just had this kind of summer pattern of okay in the morning, or kind of low clouds and foggy in the morning, and then clears up for like 2 hours, and then it's back to thunderstorms. And it just depends on if you're lucky enough to be in the middle of one of those thunderstorms, or if it's clear blue skies. So, but got a couple hours of flying in on Sunday and cross that 1,000-hour mark, and keep going for the next 1,000.
Excellent. Congrats.
And with that, I'm probably going to bow out for just a little while. Hopefully it won't be too long. I'll keep you updated through the back channels as to how things are progressing, and join back hopefully pretty soon.
Okay. Can you put up a cardboard cutout of yourself
of me
for the frame here for us? So we'll just think that you're just mesmerized,
just frozen
by all the things that we're saying.
Just let Taco do the rest of the
I'll let
show.
him in here. It's fine.
No, you can take yourself out, not literally, but out of the video if you'd like, and then hopefully it'll be a nice short meeting. We're not expecting it, but it'd be nice to you could come back after your call if you have a chance.
Absolutely. I will keep you posted.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you were able to join us for a bit anyway.
Yep, absolutely. I'll be back soon. Bye.
All right. Bye. Okay. Let's see. Nick, we know that one of your activities you're involved in is the lawn bowling, the bowls, or whatever what's the term you use for that?
You got it right, bowling.
Okay, because I'm always afraid I'm going to say something kind of rude. And
Well,
I don't
you
want to
usually
sound
do.
rude.
So,
I know I usually do. Sorry.
What more can I say?
Yeah. So I think that the last time that you were on the show was, let's see, I did 5:30 kind of by myself, and Liz and I did that. And then 5:31 was our live show at Oshkosh. So it must have been 5:29, about 3 weeks ago or so, I believe. And you were getting close to the finals for the bowls?
Absolutely. I entered lots of competitions, but the higher level competitions are played at county level. So I managed to get all the way through to the final, called the unbadged singles. So you see the badges behind me. When you've been recognised by your county and played for them, then you get a blazer badge. Well, in the old days, everyone pitched up for bowls wearing a blazer. Doesn't happen so much nowadays. So, in fact, the badge is given to you in a little presentation frame instead. But I had my badge from Sussex because I used to play in Sussex. And then I just getting to the final qualified me to get my badge for Surrey because I moved to a club that was in Surrey. And it's me at the finals, and you can tell that the bloke who won the game gets that enormous cup.
Wow, look at the handles
the
on that
unbadged singles. So yeah, and I get the little cup. But that was very nice. Presented.
That's still a nice size cup there, Nick.
Absolutely, yes. But I didn't even take it home with me because
he looks a little more excited than you, though.
Yeah, he does. I was happy enough, but I could with my game. But I gave myself a mountain to climb, I'm afraid, by not getting into the game until I was about 11-0 down. It's the first of 21 shots, so 11-0 down. It's nearly halfway there. So more than halfway there. So I fought back. Yeah, I know, it was terrible. I fought back to 13 all, but then I lost my momentum a little bit, and he got to 17. I was 15, so I was only a couple of shots adrift.
Yeah.
But then from 17, he drew for his all four bowls, smacking onto the jack really tight. And I was trying to find a way into the head to cut the score down, or perhaps even break it open, but I couldn't. So 17 plus 4 makes 21, and he won the match. So I played okay. Could have played better at the beginning, and that might have made a big difference. But anyway, fact is, I'm moving to another county next season because I'm playing at a club that's in Hampshire. So you never know, I may be able to get all 3 county badges. That would be kind of cool because they're not particularly easy to get. You've got to play quite well. Anyway,
now, is this your choice that you're moving around to all these different places, or are these people just kicking you out of their clubs? Just wondering. So I'm a little suspicious about this whole thing.
I used to play in Sussex. I played for 2 clubs in Sussex. And then when COVID came around and this club I was playing at had a bit of a bust up over whether they were going to play that season or not when COVID started, I moved to a club that just happened to be in Surrey. Thing is, I live very close to the border of all 3 counties, so I don't have to move very far to get into a different county. Anyway, I have subsequently discovered a club that's much closer. It happens to be in Hampshire, so that's fine. Anyway, that's the bowling. Still got a couple of competitions I'm in.
Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
There you go, Hampshire. So I've still got a couple of competitions I'm in. So could be some more silverware coming my way, but at sort of club level, not county level. Anyway,
now do you pour your beer into that thing, or do you
could do
reserve
if you
that
have
for
beer.
wine and champagne and that kind of thing? Yeah, which I guess champagne is wine.
I've held the claret jug, so the golfing Open Championship claret jug that they present at St Andrews. So I know about these things. You can pour claret in that if you want.
Sure, why not?
I didn't win it. I just happened to hold it.
Just hold it. Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
That was enough.
So you held it not because of any merit. But just
the reason I missed the flies on my thighs episode was because I was off with the 4 instructors walk into a bar bunch. So you might remember I did a bit of a plain tale interview about 4 instructors who got together.
Yes.
And, well, we got together again, and I'm trying to find a photograph with us. In fact, as it turns out, there were like 5 of us.
Oh,
so we got an extra instructor in the middle there, Jerry. But there's the 4 instructors that we previously had. This is, by the way, our hangover cure, drinking a Bloody Marys at a place called the Sandymount Club in a village near the base where we all instructed at, which used to be a bit of a dive, but is now quite an upmarket hotel. So very pleasant. No, we were there to go to RAF Valley. So this was us visiting RAF Valley, and we met up with some of the students who were learning to fly there and had a few beers in the bar. This is the aircraft that they are flying. In fact, not quite. They've got an updated version. This is the Hawk. This is the aircraft that I used to instruct on, the Hawk T1. It's there stuck up on a pole at the end of the runway near the entrance to the base. But the main reason we were there was to meet up with friends in the area. That was us with a few of the locals that we used to know well. But the main reason that we were there, because it was the 40th anniversary of my friend and our friend, Captain Nige. He had an accident in a Hawk, and that bit of marshy swamp you can see is where he nearly died. He had a really bad crash and was lucky to survive. And he thought on the 40th anniversary we'd go back and take a look at the spot. And it just so happened there's a Texan trainer, RAF trainer, at exactly the spot where he lost control of the aircraft. So anyway, it was a very interesting thing to do, and hopefully it put to bed some of the ghosts that have been chasing Nige ever since then. But more importantly, it was a lovely opportunity to see everybody and talk through our lives together there. So that was great fun. Thoroughly enjoyed that. So that's kind of been me since we last met. And the only other thing that's going on is we seem to be in quite a big heat wave at the moment. It's comes and goes. It's we get a lot of overspill of hot air from the European mainland that seems to be bringing our temperatures up to an uncomfortable level. It's hot, but more importantly, it's rather humid. So I haven't enjoyed that particularly. But other than that, life's pretty damn good right now.
Excellent. Well, I'm so glad that the gang is back together here.
Oh, yeah.
Not all of us,
sadly,
but
no
most
recordings. We didn't do... us gang, yeah, definitely. That's been brilliant. But we didn't do any recordings at Valley. It was we kept it kind of personal.
And I see that Nige is kind of biting his tongue. He wants to say something in this picture, but he can't.
Well, he was the one that brewed that for us, and we came out of breakfast to find that he was leaning against the bar with a bottle of vodka, going, that was all that was left of our kitty. You see in his hand, he's got 40 quid there. So he's gone, right, I'm going to get rid of the kitty, because we'd had a kitty the night before too. Do you do that in the States, where you will put money into a pot and call it the kitty, and then you sort of use that to buy all the drinks for the night, and then...
No, I've never experienced that. I mean, we do identify with the term the kitty, and I'm sure that probably some groups do that, but I've never experienced that myself. How about you?
It's a fairly regular thing for us to, if you're going to go out drinking, rather than trying to work out whose turn it is to buy a round, and of course you shift around and the prices vary, you all just throw some money into the pot, and one bloke buys the drinks all night using the kitty, and when the kitty runs out, you throw some more money in.
What if it doesn't run out and there's money left in the kitty?
Well, that's exactly what happened. He had 40 quid left. So he said, right, I'm going to get you all around a Bloody Mary's, which we had for breakfast.
Very good. Yeah, good use of the kitty money.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Great. Nick Camacho. I know it's been a busy several weeks for you. Been doing a lot of traveling, and I'll let you take over and tell us where you've been traveling.
Yeah.
Or if you want to start with something else too. I don't know. Maybe you've had people.
No, I was trying to think about the last time I was
Wichita.
on the show that wasn't the Oshkosh show, and I think it may have been 3 or 4 shows ago. Yeah, so I traveled to California. I had to deal with some family stuff, so ran out to my standard little place, San Luis Obispo. I was out there for I don't know, 5 days, I think, 5 or 6 days, and then flew directly from San Luis Obispo to Appleton, which is the neighboring little regional airport to Oshkosh. So that was the first time I have ever flown into Oshkosh commercially. I've driven in a bunch, and I've flown in airplanes that are not commercial airplanes a bunch, but that was number 1 of 21 appearances that I've flown in on the airlines. Got to be in Oshkosh for 6 days, hung out a lot with Jeff, met the C-47 there. We did some flying. I didn't do any flying on Tuesday, and then we flew the airplane Thursday for a photo flight and Friday in the show, and I got to fly those flights. And then from there, we traveled down to Gardner, which is a small little airport just outside of Kansas City, on the west side of Kansas City. That's actually where my brother's based, so we spent the night with him. We had a little function where we showed our documentary to their EAA chapter there, and then we went on from there to Wichita. I got to spend one night at home, but it really didn't feel like it because it was January 31st, and we had an inspection that was due at the end of January.
I mean July?
I'm sorry, July. Yeah, it was July 31st. We had an inspection that had to be done before August 1st. Mm-hmm. So Shane and I spent the evening opening up the airplane and completing that inspection. It was just a service check, so it was just like a visual. It's basically like an in-depth pre-flight. So we looked everything over. Everything looked good, and then flew the airplane from Wichita to Paso Robles the following day, August 1st. Once I was out there, I spent another week and a half in California for work. I got to do a few fun things, but also a lot of work. And finally got home last night at 10 o'clock from being gone for, I guess, about 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks. So it's been a long 3.5 weeks for me, and also a long 3.5 weeks for my wife, who's been dealing with my children solo.
Oh, bless her heart. That's a lot of work.
Hard work.
Yeah.
Yep. And I showed up just in time for school to start today. So now they're out of the house.
Oh, good for you.
Good timing.
Yeah, really good timing. Hey, so before all of this occurred, did you meet up with a celebrity host from another podcast?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah. Man. Yeah, so it has been a while. So Armando was in Wichita for like 2 or 3 weeks going through training on the Hawker. I don't even remember. We met on a Sunday morning, and I don't even remember what day it was. Let me look at my little calendar here. It must have been like maybe July 16th. Yeah, it would have had to been July 16th. So I met up with Armando. We had breakfast and drove around the airport and chatted and got to know him. He's super awesome. And he has some aviation-related life changes happening soon that I don't remember. I think he mentioned it on the last show. I don't remember if I listened to their most recent show or not. But
about them buying an airplane?
Yes. Yeah.
I
So
think on their last show, he talked about it.
Yeah. So him and his wife are buying an airplane, I think, for her to learn to fly in. She was, it was funny because he was talking about how she hadn't been super interested in it, and then took a ride in the Stearman, and all of a sudden got really excited about it. And she was actually taking her second ride in the Stearman while we were together, while we were having breakfast. So that was cool. And then she called him afterwards.
And said, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, she was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I think there's a chance. I don't know what his plan is, but I think there's a chance that I might be able to see him again soon, based on his airplane, his little airplane that he's buying. So we'll see if it works out.
So let me get this straight. She was in a Stearman at Stearman Field?
No. She was at home.
Oh, she was
North Carolina. So she was.
Okay.
She was at home
over there
North
with
Carolina,
you guys.
and then we were at Stearman Field.
I got you.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
So traded DC-3 stories and had a lot of fun. Showed him my airplanes. He wanted to know about owning old airplanes, and I was like, man, if there's one thing that I could share with you, it's like mistakes you can make owning old airplanes, because I've made a lot of them.
You got to be really careful about that feather pump, right?
I've got a whole. Oh yeah, that's another story that I guess I could touch on. Yeah, so we had a. I think I sort of explained it when it happened, but we had an issue with the feathering system on the C-47 when we were flying out to the East Coast like 2 months ago. And so we got a feather pump shipped to the airplane, and we were carrying a feather pump with the airplane everywhere we went. And then, but the feathering pump was working, didn't seem to be working. It was working. We do a feather check every flight as part of the run-up, and you check the current draw to ensure that the pump is running and drawing current, and then you're also watching RPM, so you know that it's physically working because it's changing the pitch of the blades and slowing the blades down.
Now we don't have Miami Rick with us to explain all the intricate details of a feathering system, but just for a quick down and dirty for those who are listening right now that may not understand what a feathering system or a feathering pump is.
You want me to hit on it? Yeah.
I'm not
so
going to do it.
on a multi-engine airplane, when you lose power on an engine and that propeller is windmilling, it is creating an enormous amount of drag. And so what you do is you turn the blades. If you imagine looking down the propeller arc when it's running, those blades are nearly flat, so they look almost like a saucer. And so what you do if the engine dies, what you want to do is turn those blades basically 90 degrees so they're streamlined with the wind. And so that does two things. The frontal profile is much less, but then that also stops the blade from windmilling. And if the blade is moving at all, it's creating a lot more drag. So by feathering it, you really decrease the frontal area, and you also get it to stop. And so it's a lot less drag.
Okay.
In little airplanes, basically the way that system usually works is the propeller mechanism is spring loaded to the feather state or the streamline to the air state, and then you use oil pressure to move it out of that state. So it's like a one-way. It's spring loaded, and it's like a one-way oil pressure thing. The C-47s, they do that because if you have a failure and you lose all the oil pressure, the fail safe is to feather that prop.
Okay.
The C-47 is a little weird because it has what's called a double acting piston system. So it uses oil pressure on both sides. So rather than have a spring, we have like a separate pump in the wheel well that puts high pressure oil on one side of the hub or the other side of the hub. So we can actually put the propeller into feather electrically with the pump and then feather it. And then we can also kick it out of feather back into flight mode, basically, back into the area where it needs to be turned. So all of that is to say the feathering system is very critical on a multi-engine airplane, because if you can't get it to feather, you're generally throwing all of your single engine performance data out the window. And a lot of times the airplane won't even be able to perform if you're running a windmilling propeller.
Gotcha.
So we check it every time we do a run up, right? You do a run up and we'll check the mags and we'll check power on the engine, then power on the engines, and then we'll also check the feathering pumps to ensure that they're working. And we flew this whole trip, and we're doing run-ups every day we're flying, and everything's good. And we get to Paso Robles, our home base, and we land, and we shut the left engine off, and we were going to do a check on this feathering pump with hot oil. So I hopped out of the airplane, and we hit it, and it is dead. It is deader than a doornail.
Lord.
It worked during the run-up, so we had no indication that it was dead. And I still haven't thought through all the different ways that thing works and is loaded. So I'm not sure that it maybe with the engine not turning had something to do with it. I don't think it did, but the moral of the story is we made it all the way home just in the nick of time, because we would have had to swap that feather pump out on the road, which would have been doable, but annoying. Yeah. So yeah, swapped it out this weekend, and then they're going to swapped it out this past weekend, 3 or 4 days ago, and then they'll run the airplane this weekend and do all the ops checks and make sure it all checks out. As a matter of fact...
So it was the pump that was in the wheel well that was the problem, was it, Nick?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if I go over here and... How do I show an overlay? Oh, I just click on it.
Yeah.
Here is that pump that I just finished changing. It's kind of hard to tell what my orientation is, but if you look below my elbow at that bright light right there, that's the bottom of the wheel well. So right now I'm standing on the tire with my head up into the wheel well, and then my finger is pointing up at that pump.
So that would not be a good place to stand if you're just taking off and they put the gear up.
That's true. If you could run fast enough to stay on the tire,
you'd be running fairly fast.
I would say,
first place.
You're playing with house money at that point.
Well, they're pretty slow, so you could probably do it.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So I guess I'll show all my pictures here real quick while I'm done.
Okay.
So this is Bruce. I met Bruce, walked up to the airplane, big APG fan, fellow Bonanza pilot. So we had a ton of stuff to talk about. He wanted me to tell Steph that he loves the Caravan. I think if I have my notes correct, he worked at Lockheed and retired as an engineer the last couple of years, and is now flying freight in Caravans as a retired, professional engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
I asked him about the Sky Courier, which is the new twin engine airplane that Cessna's building for FedEx. And he didn't seem too optimistic that the timeline would work out for him.
Oh, okay.
Which is a bummer. I mentioned a couple of photo flights we did. So here's a picture from our 5-ship. Well, both these pictures are from the same flight, but we got up early Thursday morning of Oshkosh and went out and did this big 5-ship photo flight.
That is a lovely formation, Nick.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Or was he just a very good photographer who captured the exact moment that you had to be passing through?
I think we had our moments and we didn't have our moments. But yeah, there's a couple of a couple of good pictures came out of it. So the picture I'm showing is basically 3 Normandy invasion schemed airplanes, and then late Air Force DC-3 schemed airplane, and then Miss Montana, which is actually a smoke jumper airplane. 5 DC-3s in a right echelon formation.
Brilliant.
And then we also got a couple with just the invasion airplanes.
Oh, nice.
The only gripe was we had a 6 a.m. briefing for this flight, and it was on Thursday, so they scheduled that briefing
the morning after
not
the
even
night show.
Not even 8 hours after the night show ended. So there were a few grumpy pilots, but we made it all through it.
You know what? I have to admit something to you, Nick. Because Nick invited me to go on this flight, and you said something about a photo mission, and in my mind, what that meant was that you were going to go in your DC-3 or C-47 and take pictures of stuff on the ground. So I wasn't thinking, oh, no, our airplane is going to have pictures taken of it in formation flying. This is completely different than what I had envisioned when you invited me to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was to join you on this flight. So now that I know what it actually was, I'm thinking I should have just sucked it up and had a short night's sleep as well and been on this flight, but oh well. I'll know better next
Yeah, you
time.
could have been one of the faces at the windows.
I know. Right?
Yeah, that would have been
Anyway,
so cool.
so I thought it was something completely different that you were inviting me to go to. Oh well. Hindsight is 2020. You're muted.
Oops, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I got a couple of pictures flying home to Kansas. This is me and my dad.
Oh,
nice.
brilliant.
In the airplane. So that's always fun. You know, I think I've told my backstory on here before, but I grew up flying in DC-3s with Dad, and he's actually a captain-rated pilot in the airplane. So for all the stuff that I get to do and talk about to him, whenever I get him up there in the seat with me, I'm still the junior person up there. But someday I'll get
I didn't know that he was captain rated and pilot rated in that airplane. I thought it was just a mechanic
just a
role.
maintenance guy. Nope.
Maintenance. Yeah. Wow. I just learned something new.
Yeah. So that's Yep. So that was fun flying home. And then the last picture I have is from only about 24 hours ago when we were talking on Twitter, and I got into a conversation with this certain young gentleman who happened to be out in San Luis Obispo with me. This is Lieutenant Colonel Jeff. I could never remember. I was trying to think about it yesterday. I couldn't remember if he was called the good-looking Captain Jeff or the better-looking Captain Jeff. Because neither of those are good for you, but one of them is worse.
I've used both to describe Jeff.
Okay. Yeah. So he flies for a 135 company and was picking up a jet out of a maintenance facility there in SLO. And he said, "Hey, I'm here." And I said, "Hey, let's try to meet up." And so we were able to grab lunch and chat for about an hour, and that was a lot of fun.
Well, all I have to say is SLO. That's so appropriate for Colonel Jeff. As far as his brain is concerned.
Yeah,
not the jet he flies. The jet he flies is a very fast jet.
Yeah.
And not quite as fast as the jets he used to fly in the Air Force, the F-15.
Yep.
That's cool. I'm glad you got a chance to get together with Colonel Jeff, the good-looking Captain Jeff.
Yep.
All right. Well, there was a lot of stuff there. I'm glad that we got all caught up with you. Are you going to be home now for a while, Nick?
I think so. I think the next thing on the horizon for me, which is still kind of up in the air, is the air races out in Reno.
Oh.
The C-47 has been invited. There's a big
You're going to
vintage
race the C-47?
No. I would love to. So the thing is, our chief pilot flies a race plane. Sure. Well, you know Sherman. Sherman flies a race plane, and you better believe he would take the C-47 around the sticks in a heartbeat if he got the chance. But they're kind of bringing his race plane out of retirement this year, and he's going to fly it one more time. So we got to talking about that, and then when we went to Dayton and the Smithsonian, there's I think it's called the Rolls-Royce Heritage Invitational or something like that. But there's basically a show plane aspect of the air races now, where they invite 15 or 20 really nice old airplanes. It makes me wonder what happened with ours, but they ask us to come and display our airplane. So I think we're going to try to fly the C-47 out there. I think it was like Wednesday to Sunday, and if I can get my family, get everything around the house going forward well, and get everything on the right track, I might try to zip back out to California, but we'll see. It'll be a last minute call. Craig Messerson, do you file flight plans or use flight following on your long cross country in the C-47? We almost always use flight following. I think we did not use flight following on one leg coming home, but we almost always use flight following. Don't tell RH and AG, but we never file VFR flight plans. If we are doing IFR work, obviously we're filing flight plans for that, but No VFR flight plans, which I'm sure is going to disappoint them.
Yeah, but that's kind of a high-profile airplane that you're flying around. Probably a lot of people know, when you're going somewhere and when you're supposed to be getting somewhere and that kind of thing, right?
Right. Yeah. But they say, their deal is that the VFR flight plan is for like the last 5 minutes from the end of the runway back or something.
Oh. What do they know about air traffic control?
I will tell you, I don't know if I've ever told my I don't know if I've ever told my flight plan story, but I stopped filing flight plans once I got an airplane I could do flight following in because my dad always used to make me file VFR flight plans. And so I got my pilot's license in the Luscombe, and then I went back to school, or my pilot certificate in the Luscombe. I don't want to upset anybody there. And I went back to school and didn't fly at all. I came home and I flew a whole bunch for one summer, but still didn't have a lot of like cross country time. And so when I was going to fly the airplane out to California, I came back to Kansas and I was going to fly the airplane from Kansas to Oshkosh and then back to Kansas and then out to California. And first leg, I filed my flight plan. Because I don't have a transponder, I only have a handheld. I can't really reach anybody. I call them and open it on the ground. So I take off, and here I am in the Luscombe, buzzing away towards, I think Pella, Iowa was my first stop. And I expected it to be, like 3.9 hours or something, not quite 4 hours. Well, I ended up getting a little nervous as I got close to the Class B of Kansas City. So I deviated probably a little farther than I needed to. And I had a little bit more of a headwind than I was anticipating, which wouldn't be a big deal, except that I was only going 100 miles an hour to start with. So when you slow down, it's got a lot more impact on you when you're flying for 4 hours, right? Mm-hmm. So I land, I got to go to the bathroom real bad. I land, I see a phone number on my phone, and I'm like, oh, I'll deal with that in a minute. So I taxi up to the pumps, and I ran and go to the bathroom. I come back, I call flight service, who is who you close your flight plan with. I think Lockheed had taken it over by that time, so I called and I said, hey, this is Luscombe such and such. And I landed, and you can close my flight plan. And about 3 or 4 minutes later, I got another phone call, and I answered it, and they were like, hi, this is, Lockheed Flight Services, or whatever they called themselves. And I was like, oh yeah, sorry about that. I just called and closed my flight plan with someone else just like 2 minutes ago. And they were like, oh yeah, we know. I just wanted to let you know that because you were late, we went ahead and called the phone number on your flight plan, and you probably need to call them.
Oh,
so
they
I'm
might be
like,
worried.
oh no. Yeah. So I hang up, and it's my parents. So I hang up and I call my mom, and she's crying. And of course she thinks something horrible has happened. And ever since that day, I try to not use flight plans. But I have lots of other equipment, right? I use Garmin InReach that like pings little tracking points, and I use flight following, and I try to be proactive about it. It's just I had a really bad experience with a flight plan.
Yeah, I can kind of understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good question. Thank you, Craig. Craig is one of those folks, one of our listeners that I met up with, hung out with for quite a bit, at least the first day or two that the AirVenture opened up. And yeah. Oh, he brought me some beer too, some Spotted Cow. Yeah, so thank you for that, Craig. Appreciate that. Let's see. So I guess anything else, Nick Camacho, or may I?
I think that's it. Yeah, go for it.
Try to do this as quickly as I can. A lot of stuff. Yeah, we did our show. I guess it was the one before Flies on My Thighs, and then we set off, or I set off for the grand road trip in my Honda Accord, and loaded up that thing. I mean, it was packed to the gills with a new tent and associated supplies for camping, tent camping, and all my podcasting gear, including my powered monitors and the brand new Honda generator, very, very lightly used. I've started it once and at the house here before I left, just to make sure that it was running and I knew how to work it, because I thought that maybe, I wasn't sure exactly where we were going to be doing our live show, if we were even going to do a live show at Oshkosh. We had hoped that we would. So I had the new, oh, that's right, Flies on My Thighs was recorded at Oshkosh too. Okay, whatever the one was before Flies on My Thighs. Anyway, so I have the Honda generator in my Honda trunk and all the other, podcasting and camping related stuff. Headed off for my journey up to Oshkosh. First night I spent in Paducah. I wish I'd taken pictures of all this. I did do a video recording for our patrons, but I don't think I took any at all, any stills of Paducah, Kentucky. But that was day one. Found a little boutique hotel called the 1857 in downtown Paducah. I was expecting Paducah not to be a huge city, but bigger town than what it was or what it is on the Ohio River there, but it was pretty. Next day, set off, went over the Ohio River into Illinois and spent most of that day in Illinois. I stopped, I think I do have some pictures here that I can show you regarding, nope, that wasn't it. I wasn't in an airplane in Corona, California. I stopped in Champaign, Illinois, in northern Illinois, and at a place that Dr. Steph introduced Captain Nick and I to, and we went to one of these locations, not this one, but one just like it, back in 2019 when we did the big road trip up to Chicago and then finally the RV to Oshkosh. That's Portillo's. And so I shared that with my crew and let them know that I was enjoying a Chicago dog. There's a picture of it there with their really good French fries. And then continued up to Whitewater, Wisconsin, which is a little town to the southeast of Madison, Wisconsin, and this bed and breakfast called Hamilton House, which was really fun and interesting. I was the only occupant of the bed and breakfast. A little bit of the slow season right now, I guess. Supposedly, this was at times a fraternity and sorority house for the University of Wisconsin at Whitewater. And according to the host of the Hamilton House Bed and Breakfast, John Belushi was either a pledge or a member of the fraternity that was occupying this house, and supposedly he had driven his motorcycle up the staircase of this place. Not sure that's true, but it's kind of a cool story. Next morning, of course, I had the bed up there in the upper right-hand corner there. That was my room up there. Really nice. And of course, breakfast, because it's a bed and breakfast. And this was the appetizer course, I guess, for the breakfast. A nice strawberry yogurt parfait and a right out of the oven cooked a little cake, like a cupcake. Freshly squeezed orange juice and water, and the coffee was excellent. And then she brought out the main course, which was this heavenly light scrambled eggs and French toast and bacon that was just amazing. It was an amazing breakfast. I said, if you don't mind me asking, this is like one of the best meals I've had in quite some time. Are you like a professionally trained chef? And I was only half kidding. And she said, yes, the Culinary Institute in Hyde Park, New York. And I went, oh, okay. That makes sense. So it was an outstanding breakfast that I had there. And then the next day, a nice short, under 2-hour drive up to Oshkosh and Whitman Field and AirVenture. That's a picture of the campground registration area with all the nice little flags flying, EAA and the Wisconsin state flag, of course, the U.S. flag, and more. I don't know what all the other flags are. Anyway, got settled into the campground and popped up the tent, and there it is there in my little spot in Camp Bacon. And so that was a nice. I decided that it would be kind of nice to be under some shade trees, some hickory and oak trees, very large trees. Turns out that let's see. Let me look at my slides here and see how these are going. A couple of days later, we had a severe storm system come through Saturday night, and a huge branch, almost like one of the trunks of one of these large trunks from one of these trees, fell down. That little car right behind my white Honda Accord, it fell over. That car wasn't there at the time, thankfully. Fell right there. I have some slides of that as well that we'll look at here in a minute. But anyway, on Friday, I met up with, okay, let me think. I should have probably written this down. Chris Ott is a listener to the show. I met up with Chris back in about 4 years ago in Madison. He drove from the Oshkosh area to Madison to meet up with me. And he said, "Hey, Jeff, I know that you're going to be up here for, a week and a half or whatever. And I'm part of this group of people at Central County Airport, just outside of Iola, Wisconsin, that meet up every Friday for lunch, like a lunch club fly-in kind of thing. And they meet every single Friday of the year except 2 religious holidays. One of them Christmas and the other Oshkosh." See what I did there? Religious holiday. But this was the Friday before Oshkosh began. And he said, why don't you drive up here and, I'll treat you to lunch. And I went, okay, great. So I went up there and we watched all these airplanes come in. It was like 30-something airplanes that flew in, most of them tail draggers with the big tires. But there were some other, regular high-wing Cessnas and Piper Cherokees and that kind of thing that landed there. Grass field with several different runway orientations. And got to meet some of Chris's friends. And then I started... I had agreed to be a guest on the Plane Talking UK podcast later that day, which would have been 1 o'clock local time, Central Time. And I was concerned about having enough of an internet connection to be on their show. So we decided that it might be a better thing to go over to Chris's hangar, where he hangars his Beechcraft Sundowner, in Clintonville, Wisconsin, and about a half an hour drive from where we were in Iola. And so we went over there, and I did a test on bandwidth from cellular towers. That was no good. And then I thought, hey, I have my Starlink dish in my trunk of the car, so maybe I can find a place with no obstructions and point it up at the sky, and maybe get enough internet to be on that on their show. So I did that, and it worked out great. It was the first test of my Starlink dish system in doing live streaming. So that worked out well. So thank you, Chris, for being my host and buying my double cheeseburger from Culver's while I got all set up in your hangar. That was a lot of fun. And then I headed back down to Oshkosh and met up with Hillel that evening. I just wanted to show this quick slide here. I was walking along, what's the name of the main drag in Camp Scholler? Shake, I think, drive. And I spotted this vehicle, this camper, this recreational vehicle, I guess, but I think it's made in Germany, and it's built on it looks like it's some kind of a military vehicle, all-wheel, all-terrain, all-everything kind of a vehicle that I thought, Miami Rick, this would be perfect for him if he ever got a camper or recreational vehicle. Pretty cool. I'm sure some people probably know what the heck this thing is called, but anyway. This is some pictures of the inside of the Central County Airport in Iola. Apparently one of their members was, I believe, a navigator. I'm not sure. It was one of the crew members, a radio operator or a navigator on the Boeing 314, one of my favorite airplanes, as Captain Nick knows. And he did a wonderful plane tale about the, what was it called? The long way around, or the wrong way around, or something like that. And there was a book written about it too. Oh, Nick is gone, so he can't chime in. Anyway, great book written called, again, I think it's called the long way around, or something like that. When one of their the Pan Am Clippers was outside of Hawaii heading south when Pearl Harbor was attacked, and he pulled out a special instruction that he always carried with him in his uniform jacket that told them that, okay, well, we got to have the airplane back in at LaGuardia in New York, but you can't go the way you came. You have to keep going around the globe, all the way around the other world. It's a great book, and I'll try to remember to put a link to that book in the show notes. And again, if you wanted just a short version of the story, the plane tale, and I don't remember the name of the plane tale. Maybe Liz can find that out while I'm talking, and we can tell you the plane tale title that talked about this amazing venture. Anyway, some pictures of that in the hangar / clubhouse kitchen area of the Central County Airport. Unfortunately, I didn't get to have any of their grilled pork chops because we left early to get set up in Chris's hangar for being on P2UK, episode 420. Anyway,
it's the one about the clipper that went round the world. I think
yes.
It's called the Long Way Round.
Long Way Around?
I think that's
Long Way Around. Okay.
Yeah, something like
that.
Yeah,
so I was fascinated. That story I'd never heard of, and then when you did the plane tale, Nick, I went, wow, I need to find out more information about this. So that's when I bought the book that one a radio operator had written. He wasn't part of this actual crew, but he was working for Pan Am a little shortly after this happened, and had all the details and interviews and everything else of the crew that were still alive at the time.
Cool.
An amazing story. So I was just fascinated by all this memorabilia.
Beautiful airplanes.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's where they eat, and right behind is where the buffet line is for the...
I wasn't even close. No distant lands.
No distant lands. Episode 285.
There you go.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, and later that evening I went back to Oshkosh, and Hillel had flown in, I think the day before, or maybe earlier that morning, and so we met up and went to Wentz on the Lake, I believe was the name of the restaurant. Local fried lake perch is their specialty place, and enjoyed that meal with our good friend Hillel. And so the next night we were at the something garage. Starts with a P. I'm already forgetting all these names. Anyway, it was a local restaurant, bar and grill. A group of us from APGers. We got together there, and while we were there, this storm front came through. And when I got back to my campsite, basically where I'm standing taking this picture was about where my car was in that first photograph of the car and the tent. And I noticed there were some flashing lights and a lot of commotion going on. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And they said, yeah, this big giant tree branch fell down, and that tent that you see to the right was actually underneath this, and the owner of the tent was pulling it out, and it survived without a problem. He wasn't there at the time. He was at a brew pub or something. But his car took the brunt of the impact, and the whole front of his car was kind of crushed by this big tree branch. It was only, like I'd say, maybe 25 feet from where my tent was pitched. So I was lucky. And, here's my media credentials. I'm Jeff Nielsen, airline pilot guy, Podcase.
I'm back, but I'm just going to join in and say that sounds somehow appropriate. We're all a bunch of podcasts.
We are. Yeah. You know what? That's APG syndrome. You're a pod case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some kind of a case. Anyway, the guy goes, "Oh, do you want me to like redo that and put podcasts?" I said, "No, nobody's going to look at it anyway, so it doesn't matter." Here's the Böing. What do they call that? The Böing Square or Böing
Plaza.
Plaza. That's it. Thank you. Delta, sister airline of Acme, had one of their A330-900 Neos there, and bunch of Delta pilots who think they're really something. Man, they have huge heads and think more of themselves than they probably should. Were there on that stairwell there. And then right in front of the Delta jet is a 777, the tail end of a 777, and Böing it uses it as a test bed or something like that, test various things. So there's Craig. I don't know if Craig is still with us in the live audience, but we were hanging out that day, and Craig noticed the back end of this brand new A330-900 Neo was leaking some kind of fluid. Yeah, it was leakage from the tail. Ooh, that's never a good sign. But I figured it was hydraulic fluid, Skydrol or something coming out. Oh, and then I revealed my new company, Acme Aero, and introduced our new airplane there at the show.
Nice.
Yeah, like that. And then Laura Davis brought with her some beer, Diabolical India Pale Ale from Traverse City, Michigan. I believe it was Laura that gave me this, a 6-pack of that.
What is that animal? Is it a rabbit with antlers?
Yeah, probably a jackalope, I'm guessing. I don't know. Yeah, it was good beer. And
it looks like you're enjoying a few.
Yeah, maybe. So there's some listeners that came by, and Props and Hops on Monday night, the first day of the show, a big gathering of folks, and they give you free beer and free food. So of course, we're pilots. We got to hang out there. Here's a picture of Nick Camacho, his back, wearing his D-Day T-shirt, and he's taking pictures of his airplane back there in formation. And here's another one. I just want to get a picture of Nick taking a picture of his the Betsy's Biscuit Bomber. That was a lot of fun. And then Wednesday we were able to, and thank you to Hillel. He actually took some time out of the bathroom to coordinate with Dick Kopinski of the media group at EAA to use their briefing room for episode 531, our live show. And that was before we started. That's Hillel helping to set up and get things together. And it was just some of the people that were there before we started the show. And I thought it was a pretty good turnout, don't you, Nick? Camacho Man?
Yep, I think so.
And there's Hillel, of course, typical.
Still in the bathroom.
In the bathroom, just poking his head out for a moment, just to let us know that he was there and ready to.
Solid effort by him, though, for still finding a bathroom that had running water.
Yeah.
On the grounds.
That was good work. Is a trick. That is a trick. It's a fancy porta potty.
Yeah, there. It's nice to see him in the men's for a change as well.
Yeah. Well, he screwed up because the right next door, that's the door to the women's side of the thing. Anyway, we also on Thursday, again, Hillel coordinated this. We did he coordinated the efforts to do this memorial brick for Glenn Towler, the mayor of Oshkosh, born 25 July 1966. He flew west on 12 May 2022. I'm reading the brick. AirVenture was his favorite place on Earth. He came to this spot from New Zealand to be with his once-a-year friends. Osh won't be the same without him. And then hashtag Osh forever, Glenn out. He always ended his audio feedback with those words. And so we found the brick and met. That was a thing that Glenn always did. He got everybody together at 10:30 on Thursday of the AirVenture week in front of the Brown Arch, and that's where his brick is located, and the local adventure today, or AirVenture today, newspaper, sent out a photographer and took a picture of us and a little bit of information about Glenn there. And that was cool.
That's really nice that they honored him that way.
Yeah, very, very much so. There's a picture. I noticed something here in this group picture. Everybody's like pretty close together. And
Except
then,
for you.
like me, I'm thinking, well, I took a shower that morning. I don't think I stunk that bad.
You found running water?
But,
yeah.
I think they're just keeping
did you really take a shower, Jeff?
Oh, wait. What's that voice I hear? I hear a new voice. What did you say, Miami Rick? I'm sure it was something very nice. What did you say?
Me. I
Differential,
I
sure.
only have nice things to say.
I know.
It was differential.
Yes. Maybe differential, not differential.
Differential.
Yeah, anyway, so that we had a great little moment gathering there to honor Glenn. We really missed him, and many people did. And then after Oshkosh was all finished, well, not quite finished, but I had about a week and a half of tent camping, and I thought, I am ready to not do that anymore. And so I left on Friday and headed up to through northern Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan, across, I guess that's the St. Lawrence something or other. I don't know what piece of water that is up there. Liz is going to correct me, I'm sure. Anyway, to Sault Ste. Marie. And they actually let me into Scandinavia, and I continued toward.
Their mistake.
Yeah, I know, big mistake. Continued over toward what was it called, Sudbury, I think. Stayed in an Airbnb that night, and then finally the next day made it down to Bracebridge, where Liz has rents a cottage every year for a couple of weeks. And so I met up with her actually at her brother's place there in Bracebridge, and he had a nice lunch, and a lot of relatives of Liz were there. I got to meet a bunch of those folks and eat some great food and drink and be merry. And although I don't think I saw Mary there, but
Next
and then
time.
we went over to next time. Next time then we went over to the Lake Cottage. Beautiful place. And there's a picture of our producer director who's not with us. She's kind of with us. She's in the live chat. She's helping us out and directing and helping us keep things on track. But not in my ear. I miss you, Liz. Got to come back. Get back. Anyway, so that was my great adventure, my great road trip. I think I put on about 3,200 miles or so-ish on the car, and got back last week, like on Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and then I just went on a 3-day trip, and just got back yesterday, and then I go back out again. Actually, I'm going to go back out tomorrow and get back on Saturday. I picked up a trip. Need to pick up some time. Anyway, so that's it. Hopefully I didn't, it was the St. Mary's River. That's where Mary was. St. Mary's River is what I crossed at Sault Ste. Marie.
Mike, it says 3,200 miles and 15 pounds.
Which is actually where I thought you were going with that as well. You're like, I put on, and I was like, how much weight? Say it.
Probably at least 15 pounds. Yeah.
Hey.
The Oshkosh 15.
Exactly.
Most people I think lose weight because of all the walking, but I don't know. Somehow I still
Yeah,
manage
but there's
to put
cheese
it on.
curds.
There's a lot of fried food.
A lot of fried
did
food.
Did you eat
yes.
anything that wasn't fried while you were in Wisconsin?
Yeah, some hamburgers.
Are you sure they weren't fried also?
They may have been fried.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I ate a lot of fried food and drank a lot of beer. But it wasn't fried beer. Anyway, so I'm sure that I've forgotten many things, and I met so many wonderful listeners, especially at our live show, but other times as well during the week. It was a great time. I just wish that Dr. Steph and Captain Nick and Liz and Rick were able to join us there. But
I'll say it here first. I'm going to plan for next year for sure.
Oh, awesome!
Got some different things lined up for my schedule for next year, so
Excellent.
Hopefully that makes time for Oshkosh.
Very nice. I'm hoping that I'll have the RV next year because Either that or we're going to rent one, a nice one. But yeah, I've done my tent camping thing, I think. But
yeah, no more tents.
Yeah, no more tents. But I still have it. It's great. It's a great tent. By the way, that storm that went through that Saturday night and took that tree down next to my site, when I went inside the tent, not a drop of water. They said it was really raining heavily and very windy, and it's a great tent. Anyway, Rick.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
How you doing?
Great.
Like to apologize for joining late. I had to go drop off Kaya's mom at the airport, and it's a little bit of a drive over and a little bit of drive back. Caught the tail end of that great rush hour traffic. So, but hey, made it.
Good. Glad you did. Glad you did. Let's see. We have probably just under an hour remaining, so we'll go ahead. Any quick updates on what you've been up to?
Not really. Just flew a bunch of Cincinnati, Miami trips last couple of days. Very active weather between South Florida and and the Cincinnati area. Oh man, had to deviate as far west as I guess Louisville, and some other occasions as far east as I don't know, but interesting dealing with with all this weather. I'm looking forward to things kind of
weather. I'm pretty sure.
And trying to get home the other day was a little tricky as well because of so we basically had to outrun this front coming into Cincinnati, and my flight home didn't leave till about noon time or 1 o'clock, and so we barely got out of that. But by the time we got to Charlotte, it caught up with us there, and so I was stuck in Charlotte for. I was like, son of a gun.
I was like, dang, if I knew you were going to be here, but we were still flying. We had like this great whole there was storms all around. It was beautiful, but we were just in this like wide open area, and there was like no upper wind, so nothing moved. So we were just watching it like storm in the distance, and we were fine. It was good. Yeah,
I was like, but it felt nice though, sitting in the back and not having to deal with all the deviations on stuff myself, like letting the flight crew do their thing, and sit in the back and drink my cocktails and just chill out, and that's what I did.
Not worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually made it home and back here to the desert, and been off for the last couple of days. Heading back out on Sunday for a bunch of Cincy Houston turns. Nice short flights the way I like them now, and then over to training again. So
why don't you just never mind? Seems like
I did my LDS training, my large display system, or the Latter-day Saints
you're a Mormon
training.
Now. Okay,
exactly right. So I did that back in March, and then I had to do sim training for that, for the differences, which I guess, and then I had to do 2 flights, one PM pilot monitoring and one pilot flying, because feds, I guess, I don't know, and then fully LDS qualified, and you have to do a leg once every 90 days. If you let 90 days expire, then you have to sit through the CBT, the computer based training for it. That gives you an extra 90 days, and if you don't fly the thing for 6 months, then you have to go back to the sim and do it again. So I don't know, whatever. So yeah, but now I have to do my actual recurrent training, proficiency training here in September, which lines up with my medical exams, which I now have to take every 6 months because flight level 400 and all, and and that's that.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, I think I know the getting to know a segment was a huge one. This episode, but hey, it's been a while since we were all together and had a regular show, so we hope that you'll beg our pardon, and probably won't have a huge feedback segment on the show today, because we do have a plain tale. Yay.
All right.
So we'll quickly look at the previous show covers, and this one was episode 530, I believe, that I was in a park at Menominee State Park in Oshkosh, and on a picnic bench or at a picnic bench, and all of a sudden, about halfway through, some flies started biting, actually in my calf, but it didn't rhyme. So flies on my thighs is the cover art that our intrepid artist, Captain Nick, came up with, and that's a pretty great one. And yes, those are my legs.
And his stockings.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to commend you on your choice of stockings there.
Thank you.
Impeccable.
Tasteful.
Yeah.
Classy.
Yeah,
Very.
thank you. Thank you.
It's the second time we've seen you in stockings, Jeff.
I know.
That's true. Yeah.
It's I have quite a wardrobe.
Yes, you do.
And then the next cover art was actually guest artwork from Stephen Howland. I hope you don't mind, Stephen, that we used that for our episode artwork for our live show at Oshkosh. And he posted this on Facebook. Oshkosh News, crazy pilot adds insult after snagging balloonist on Starlink mast before telling them to get a real pilot's license. So that's
ouch.
Captain Nick is up there in the gondola of the balloon, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a basket case.
Yes, you are. And then, of course, Steph in her jumping airplane.
It's an otter, yeah.
Otter, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that's my modified tent with the APG logo on it, and then Liz poking her head into my business, apparently. And then Rick is just hanging out, just kind of leaning against his roller bag.
I'm just along for the ride on that one.
Unsure
apparently.
what day or time zone. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, where are we, and when are we supposed to do the next show?
Exactly. That's my life.
I went ahead and added this artwork to the hood of the Honda Accord, the Airline Pilot Guy Show avatar artwork. And then, of course, I'm saying hi. I'm waving hi with my finger out the passenger side window for some reason. Anyway.
It's a British edition Honda. That's what it is.
Exactly. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. Great artwork. Thank you, Stephen Howland, for allowing us to use that as our episode art. And that gives, hey, if you're out there and you're creative like that, and, you want to submit some artwork for our episodes, I'm sure that Captain Nick wouldn't mind if on occasion people kind of helped out with that. Right, Nick?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Chuck something in. If it's any good, we'll use it.
Yeah. All right. Coffee Fund, and that means we play this. And,
Johnny, how much more coffee?
We can
No thanks.
up like this.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
Yes, that's Jeff Smith, the jingle master, the APG Java Jive, and this is the Coffee Fund, your way to support the show in a financial way. And you can join the Coffee Fund cadre. A couple of different ways to do that. One is the classic method, the one-off donation via PayPal, APG Classic, Coffee Fund Classic method. And we have some recurring donations coming in. Thank you very much, the recurring donors on the classic method. And we also have another way to do recurring donations, and it is called Patreon. And we have a new producer, Karen Larson. She sent in that video feedback. She and her husband live the RV lifestyle, and they also have a beautiful carbon cub that they fly around and camp out in. Anyway, thank you, Karen, for becoming a producer of the show. We also have a new executive producer, Maria O'Brien. Thank you, Maria, for signing up to be an executive producer at Patreon. And also, we have, a top-tier senior executive producer, Els Piloto. I don't think that's his real name. In fact, I know that it's not his real name, but he wishes to remain anonymous, and he is a real pilot, I believe, a very large airplane, jumbo jet pilot, and he decided to sign up. I always do this, especially when people sign up for the top tier at Patreon. And I said, I just want you to understand that this is the amount per episode, not per month, but per episode. And just want to make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. And he said, I absolutely understand it. And I purposely signed up for that top tier. So thank you very much, Pilot, L's Pilot, Pilato, I guess, would that, the way you'd be pronouncing that?
Precisely.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So, hey, if you want to learn more about becoming part of our Coffee Fund cadre, head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did, and we will too, as we always like to say. And I think that probably, let's not go into the feedback yet. Let's first do this episode's installment of the Old Pilot's Plane Tales. And Nick, let me know if you're ready to go with that.
Most certainly, Jeff. No problem.
Okay, so I'm going to go over here and just wish that I were ready to do it. Okay, here we go. This should be an interesting one.
The Old Pilot's Plane Tales. Batman and Robin. Considering his upbringing, it's hardly surprising that Robin Olds would end up as one of the most capable and respected fighter pilots of his generation. Were he alive now, he would be celebrating his 100th birthday, but sadly he passed away aged 85. But many, including himself I suspect, were a little surprised that he survived that long, so keen was he to place himself in harm's way. He grew up amongst remarkable people, all of whom would shape his career, but none more so than his father. Major General Robert Olds was an army man who had been an instructor pilot in France during the First World War. He was an aide to Brigadier General Billy Mitchell, and as a major had appeared as a witness on behalf of Mitchell during his famous court-martial. Mitchell had already been reduced in rank for insubordination and was in the dock for accusing the Army and Navy command of an almost treasonable administration of the national defense for their inflexible concepts such as investing in battleships instead of aircraft carriers. A very young Robin Olds went with his father to the court-martial. Raised by his father after his mother passed away, he grew up amongst many of the leading lights who would shape the U.S. Army Air Force, such as a neighbor, Carl Spaatz, destined to become the first Chief of Staff of the USAF. Olds first flew at the age of 8 in a biplane piloted by his father, and by 12 he had decided he was going to attend the military academy at West Point. Robin attended Hampton High School and was popular and capable, particularly in the sport of football. His team won the state championship, and he was offered a football scholarship to both the Virginia Military Institute and Dartmouth College. Instead, he chose to attend a prep school for military academies, and at the age of 17, when Germany invaded Poland, he tried to join the Royal Canadian Air Force so that he could go to England to fly and fight. His father refused to endorse his application, so his education continued with him joining West Point in 1940. His time there was interrupted by the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, which saw him complete his flying training at the Spartan School of Aeronautics before returning in the hope of graduating early so that he could see action in the war. In the meantime, he continued to play football to a very high level, being named a Lineman of the Year and Player of the Year by notable commentators, and he was eventually enshrined in the College Football Hall of Fame. Robin completed his advanced flying training in 1943 and was presented his wings by none other than General Hap Arnold, and graduated in the summer of that year. He completed a conversion course onto the P-38 Lightning, and after his promotion to lieutenant, he became a founding member of the newly activated 434th Fighter Squadron. Early the following year, with some 650 hours flown, Olds and his squadron arrived at RAF Wattisham in England, eager to contribute to the Allies' efforts to end the Second World War. Olds made his mark with his ground crew, helping them to service and then polish his aircraft, named Scat-2, to improve its speed. In short order, he was made a flight leader, and later on he would lead the entire squadron. Olds' first 2 kills came in August that year, whilst escorting a bomber group attacking the port city of Wismar, and only a week later he became an ace, adding 3 more kills to his tally. His flight had encountered a large formation of 40 to 50 Messerschmitt Bf-109s flying in loose V formations. For 10 minutes he manoeuvred his flight undetected until they had climbed above the enemy, whereupon he jettisoned his wing tanks and engaged. Closing in on one of the German fighters, he fired when, without warning, both of his engines stopped. Now a glider, he continued to fire, seeing hits in the fuselage and watching a cowling detach, fatally damaging the 109 before diving away to work out what the problem with his aircraft was. In the heat of the moment, after dropping his external tanks, he'd failed to select the feed to internal. The problem solved, he restarted the powerful V-12 Allisons and powered back into the fight.
Still in a shallow dive, I observed a P-38 and a ME-109 going round and round. It seemed that the 38 needed help, so I started down. At about 4,000 feet, the Jerry, still way out of my range, turned under me and slightly to the right. I rolled over on my back, following him, and gave him an ineffective burst at long range. But this time, I was traveling in excess of 500 miles an hour. My left window blew out, scaring the hell out of me. I thought I had been hit by some of the ground fire I had observed in the vicinity. I regained control of the aircraft and pulled out above a wheat field. I tried to contact the flight to get myself recognized, but observed an ME-109 making a pass at me from about 7 o'clock high. I broke left as well as my plane could, and the Jerry overshot. I straightened out and gave him a burst. He chandelled steeply to the left, and I shot some more, and he passed right over me, and I slipped over in an Immelman. As I straightened out at the top, I saw the pilot bail out.
By the end of the flight, Olds had enough kills to become an ace. Later in the year, the fighter group converted to P-51 Mustangs, one of which now bore Olds' favoured name, Scat, albeit the 7th in the line of Scats. He had been promoted to Major and was the 434th Operations Officer. His engagements with the enemy continued to mount, and after attacking a pair of Me-262 jet-powered fighters, he shot down a Bf-109 of the Sonderkommando Eleb, a special unit of the Luftwaffe tasked to ram enemy bombers. In addition to escort duties, Olds undertook airfield attacks and was credited with 11.5 aircraft destroyed on the ground. Risks came with these missions, and in one such attack he was the only aircraft out of 5 to make it home, and that was with a badly damaged machine. He had large holes in his flaps and wing on one side, and if he slowed, the aircraft wanted to roll upside down. As a result, he landed Scat-6 at high speed, and how the aircraft and he survived the careening, bouncing, and juddering ride down the length of the field he never knew. At the age of only 22, only 2 years out of West Point, Robin Olds was promoted again and given command of his own squadron. He had 13 confirmed kills and the only pilot to become an ace on both the Lightning and the Mustang. He was twice awarded the Silver Star for valor in combat. When peace returned, Olds returned to West Point as an assistant football coach, but found himself resented for his rapid promotion and his plethora of combat decorations. He could see that the future of military aviation lay in the new generation of jet fighters, so he managed to get a transfer to March Field in California to fly in the very first P-80 Shooting Star Squadron. Peacetime flying didn't have the same edge to it as combat operations, so before long he'd helped to form an aerial aerobatic demonstration team led by Lieutenant Colonel Pappy Herbst. They formed a two-ship aerobatic routine that toured the United States, thrilling the crowds wherever they went. Sadly, Herbst was killed during a display when he stalled during a finale maneuver when he looped the P-80 whilst configuring it to land. Robin Olds must have chaffed at flying in a peacetime Air Force as he gained a reputation for butting heads with senior officers, many of whom he saw as more interested in promotion than the needs of a fighting force. Perhaps as a result, he was posted to England as part of the Royal Air Force's exchange program to take command of No. 1 Fighter Squadron, the RAF's oldest and most prestigious unit with a history that stretched back to 1878, and a motto in omnibus princeps, first in all things, where he flew the Gloucester Meteor. He was the very first foreign officer to command an RAF squadron in peacetime. He very much enjoyed his time in England and was highly respected, and he returned to become the operations officer of an F-86 Sabre squadron, the Hat in the Ring 94th. He then served as the commanding officer of the 71st Fighter Squadron and, as a result, missed the opportunity to fight in the Korean War despite his many requests for a combat assignment. Frustrated and discouraged, he came close to resigning until General Smith talked him out of it, but he continued to balk against the Air Force's policy of relying on America's nuclear threat and the lack of any serious tactical air training in conventional warfare. He was promoted and was moved around Europe until September 1966, when he was converted onto the F-4 Phantom II, a course he completed in only 5 days, and given command of the 8th Tactical Fighter Wing at Ubon in Thailand, which was engaged in fighting in the Vietnam War. The wing he now commanded had suffered from a lack of aggression and leadership. Its pilots were dispirited and tired. The previous CO had only ever flown 10 missions with the wing. Olds arrived, a grizzled and greying 44-year-old who challenged his men to train him up until he was better at their job than they were. He shook things up, putting the base support staff on the same 24-hour clock as the aircrew. He flew with his men and drank with them afterwards, listening to them and their ideas on how to improve operations. He encouraged camaraderie and led with flair and aggression. In his usual flamboyant manner, he proved himself a physical, mental, and flying match to any of his pilots, and devoted himself entirely to their success, even cocking a snoot to his superiors by growing an extravagant, decidedly non-regulation moustache. He also ensured that he was assisted by highly capable senior officers, such as Colonel Daniel James Jr. Together they formed a legendary team nicknamed Black Man and Robin, a nod to another famous duo. When he spoke to his men, he gave them invaluable advice learned from years of command duty.
Now, don't try to fool the troops, but make sure they know the buck stops with you, that you'll shoulder the blame when things go wrong. Correct without revenge or anger. Recognize accomplishment. reward accordingly, foster spirit through self-pride, not slogans, and never at the expense of another unit. It won't take long, but only your genuine interest and concern, plus follow up on your promises, will earn you respect. Out of that, you gain loyalty and obedience. Your outfit will be a standout. But for God's sake, don't ever try to be popular. That weakens your position, makes you vulnerable. Don't have favorites. That breeds resentment. Respect the talents of your people.
The stories of his time in Vietnam are legion, but the most famous is the one that gave rise to the 8th Tactical Fighter Wing's name, the Wolf Pack. The F-105 Thunder Chiefs had been taking losses to surface-to-air missiles until they were equipped with a new jamming pod, the QRC-160. This gave great protection, but there weren't enough around to put on their Phantom escort aircraft as well. As a result, the Thuds flew the final part of their bombing attacks without fighter escort. The North Vietnamese took advantage of this and engaged the bomber formations with their MiGs. Seeing this pattern develop, Robert Olds sought permission to fly a decoy mission that was called Operation Bolo. They borrowed the jamming pods and then flew a similar mission profile to that flown by the Thuds, except that the F-4s were loaded for bear and ready to engage any enemy fighters. The bogus strike force arrived over the target area with Olds leading, and as they passed over the MiG-21 base for a second time, MiG started popping up through the overcast cloud in an attempt to bracket the American fighters. The F-4s turned and fought, engaging and destroying 7 of the enemy, nearly half of their available fighter force. Olds himself downed one of the MiGs, and then in follow-up missions the wing killed another 2. In May 1967, Olds destroyed another MiG-21 over Fujian, and 2 weeks later 2 more in what was described as a vengeful chase after they shot down his wingman during a large dogfight. The Air Force now described him as a triple ace, and he would almost certainly have added to his total number of kills several times, but it had been rumoured that, had he done so, he would have been sent back to the States to be used as a publicity asset, so he passed on those opportunities to other pilots. In his beloved Phantom, now named Scat-27, Robin Olds flew 152 combat missions in Southeast Asia, raising his lifetime total of operations to 259. He was awarded his 4th Silver Star and an Air Force Cross for leading his men on a low-level bombing strike on the Paul Doumer Bridge in Hanoi, and his total record of kills reached 16. The unit he commanded rose from one of the least effective to one of the most successful, with the 8th finishing the war as the leading MiG killer. On his return, his aircraft Scat-27 was shipped back and given a position of honor in the National Museum of the United States Air Force. His infamous bulletproof mustache lasted until his return to the United States, when the Air Force Chief of Staff stuck a finger under his nose and said, "Take it off." When Olds came home, he was asked to brief the President and the Joint Chiefs of Staff on what was to be done in Vietnam. His words with then President Lyndon B. Johnson were few.
Get us out of this war.
When LBJ asked how, Olds replied,
"It's simple, sir. Win it."
Promoted to Brigadier General, he became the Commandant of the Cadets at the Air Force Academy and later the Director of Aerospace Safety, and retired in 1973. In retirement, he was honored by induction into the National Aviation Hall of Fame and is the only person also to be enshrined in the College Football Hall of Fame. He gave many talks and lectures about his life in the air and what it was like to be a fighter pilot.
being a fighter pilot is an attitude. It is cockiness. It is aggressiveness. It is self-confidence. It is a streak of rebelliousness, and it is competitiveness. But there's something else. There's a spark. There's a desire to be good, to do well in the eyes of your peers and in your own mind.
A hard-drinking, hard-working man, he led from the front in a way that inspired his men to become a great fighting force. He only became frustrated when he saw mistakes being made by those above him who should have known better, and he went out of his way to make his feelings known. He defined what it meant to be a fighter pilot, not only in the air but on the ground, with the stunningly beautiful Hollywood actress Ella Raines, the first of his 4 wives. Robert Olds died of heart failure in March 2007.
Wow. Nice. So,
Yeah.
you know, when you started talking about him in back in the early portion of this plane tale, I'm thinking, oh, I always thought that guy was that guy with the big, giant, bushy mustache. I didn't realize that it turns out it really was him just later in his life. Where was his mustache way back then?
Well, yeah, I think it was when he got a bit older and more senior, and he needed something to separate him and to indicate to his troops that he was on their side and he wasn't just a command lackey. And I think he did a fantastic job. I mean, if ever you wanted to have a more charismatic leader in a time of war, I don't think you would ever be able to find anyone better than Robert Olds. He generated such enormous loyalty from his troops, and not just the pilots, but from the every man, from the lowest of the low to the most senior guys. They all loved him and just wanted to follow him because they knew he spoke through his heart all the time, and there was nothing fake about him at all. He really was, as has been said many times, a fighter pilot's fighter pilot, a brilliant man.
And doesn't he lay claim to being the only fighter pilot to ever shoot down another aircraft while gliding, apparently?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He was unable to get that engine restarted in time, and in the meantime, he let a burst of gunfire out, and he actually shot the guy down while in the glide.
Absolutely, yeah. When he mentions that it was his own silly fault that he ended up in that situation.
Yeah.
What a great story. And indeed, I could almost have just gone on and made it twice the size, because to read his combat reports and to relive some of the engagements he made, quite incredible. I mean, he engaged one of the first Me-262 jet-powered fighter bombers that the Germans had at the time, and he just was a natural pilot and a really good combat pilot. He was fantastic. Typical that he didn't have nearly as much success as you would hope in peacetime, but in wartime he was just the man to go and lead from the front. Brilliant. One thing I do need to say is that, of course, we had the lovely mellow voice of Greg Willits, although this time he listened a lot to Robert Olds' lectures and talks that he gave, and made a real effort to copy his style of speaking, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. So thanks very much indeed to Greg Willits, our professional voiceover artist, great friend of the show. And if you're ever looking for a voiceover artist, then you can find him at gregwillits.com. And also to Chet Casper and our lovely friend Mayman Micah, who both suggested this subject as they knew his 100th anniversary of his birth was coming around. So that was the reason that I I did this particular one. So thank you, guys.
That was an excellent one. Thank
Cheers.
you, Nick. Yeah. Okay. Are you going to hang out with us for a little bit longer, Nick, or is it time for you to hit the sack?
If you've got something that you need me for, I'll happily hang around for one or two. But otherwise, I think I'm probably going to let you guys finish up.
Kind of finish up the show. Yeah, I don't know that there's anything specific that would be require you to make any commentary. So,
okay, in that case, I'm going to leave you to it. Love you and leave you, and I'm happy to do a Böing on the head as the next show title.
Okay.
Or this show title, I should say, the next show art. So
okay.
If you don't mind me doing that, I'm just going to go
it's
with
legitimate.
that one.
It's legitimate. Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
Of course, if something happens that's funnier, then please let me know.
Now remember, it was a tug driver that got the Böing on his head.
Can't argue with that one. Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, brilliant. And I'll catch you next week, everybody.
All right.
See you, mister.
Take care, Nick.
All the best. Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, it's that time finally for a short feedback.